Welcome to another episode of Flower of Life show with me, Selena Wong, and I've got my special guest here, Sarah Bradshaw.
Hi there.
Yep. And we're in the garden, and today's a really cool episode. We're going to be talking about the autumnal equinox, the fall equinox, and we're going to also go through the garden and understand a little bit more about why this really is actually the beginning of a whole new season.
It is indeed.
A whole new cycle.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome everyone. I don't have my laptop in front of me yet, but we are going to go inside in a little while. As you can see behind us, I'm just going to flip the screen quick so you guys can see what we're seeing. Normally, you'd be able to see the lake, and literally we can't see past the fence. So right now, unfortunately, on the west coast of North America, we're really being hit by a lot of forest fire and a lot of smoke. And I know that both of us want to kind of keep this portion kind of quick. So I just wanted to jump right in, but let you guys know what's happening in our sphere. So Sarah, I would love for you to just kind of give us a little tour about the fall and I guess what's going on with the plants, what's going on with the garden.
Okay, so fall equinox, well, you know, equinox means equal night. Okay, so night equals day. Well, these babies bloom best on a 12-hour light cycle. So if you've got an outdoor plant and an outdoor crop, you are going to really see them come on like gangbusters when we start getting into those 12-hour days and nights. So you can see that happening here. You know, the buds are forming, they're coming along great. You've got old fan leaves falling and dying off because that's what they need to do. The plant doesn't need to suck up any more sunshine. It doesn't need to be doing any of that more stuff at all. You're not going to hurt your plants taking this stuff off. You can see it's just falling. And your plant has no need for it. And by the way, you know, it can harbor bugs and stuff, you know. Makes a great place for a little bug to get in there and, you know.
Spiders love it.
They do. So
I love the spiders though. So I'm like, I hear you. They can move.
But, you know, so you got no problems at all doing this. So, you know, the fall equinox is kind of an ideal time for moving your cannabis along into those final stages of production. Probably going to want to stop fertilizing if you do any kind of augmentation. I don't
either.
Yeah, but you know, that's a consideration. Sometimes they need a lot more water.
Yeah.
You know,
these are water hogs now. We're watering them about every day and sometimes twice a day, depending on how hot it's been. It's been so crazy hot in the Okanagan.
Oh, it has been. It's just been nuts.
Oh, this is our little chunky monkey. So I've prepped her. Yeah. She's pretty much ready. So I'm actually going to be harvesting her this evening.
And a beautiful, beautiful set of buds.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
she smells incredible.
Indeed. And this is a really, really excellent example of taking off all of your larger fan leaves in prep of, you know, trimming and harvesting. Just beautiful. Just gorgeous.
So Sarah, I was hoping maybe you can share a little bit more with us too, because I mean, cannabis grows really well with the rest of the garden. And I know right now all the seeds are coming on, it's harvest time. It's like an intense time of year. It seems insanely busy.
Crazy busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to be concerned about soil no matter what you're growing. So beans are a really, really good thing to grow. This is your pole beans. Are these the purple peacock?
There's purple peacock, and then we also had like a sneaky one in there. It was a purple snow pea.
I see that. And I was wondering, what on earth? But that's a purple snow pea. But these are your the
purple pole beans.
Purple peacock pole bean. Now here you can see, like, it's fleshy. You could still eat it, you know.
I will.
The bean is getting larger in there, but that's still fleshy. But this one's not quite dry, but if you come up here and you can feel them.
You can.
Yeah, okay, so then when they're dry like that and you pick them, they just snap open. They just do that. And there's
seeds for next year.
Seeds for next year, but also because they're beans, seeds for eating. Beans fix nitrogen in your soil, okay? Anytime you need to improve soil, think in terms of planting legumes. Plant your peas, plant your beans, plant the clover and till it back in. You know, get some nitrogen into the soil with your beans. And then, of course, you know, you've got these gorgeous sunflowers
Yes!
here. Aren't they lovely?
They're beautiful,
Yeah.
and they look almost ready.
Yeah, now this one looks lovely, but you know, it's not quite ready yet. But let's find us one, like this one over here, that is just hanging, okay? So you can clip them. Sometimes you can just twist them off as well. I don't know if that's going to work this time. You have clippers?
Yeah. Do you want to just hold that for
I
a
will
second?
hold that,
I'll
and
be right
you
back.
get clippers. Yeah, so when it's ready, this stuff here
Yes.
starts to come off, okay?
Okay.
So we take these, oh, lovely clippers. Love these kind of clippers, my favorites. Okay. So those little bubbies up again, and away we go. Okay, so with your sunflowers, you can take them right off, and then take the petals off, and then you rub this pollen bed off. There's your beautiful sunflower seeds.
So like literally I could just like drizzle this with some oil and pop it in the oven, or?
Well, these are in the shell.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, you can roast them in the shell for sure. You know, a lot of times the sunflowers, I don't harvest them as much for my own use as I use them for feed for the birds.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you can even just do this and then lay that out. And if you're harvesting for the birds, like you don't even have to take this off, but you're going to want to save the seeds. So now that you've got that off, you just start anywhere. And this lovely, don't you love sacred geometry? There it is.
I do. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And then when you start popping the seeds off, it's magical how they all fit together. I mean, look at that. It's just, you know,
Wow.
it's just amazing.
Nature is so incredible.
Yeah. So there's all your lovely black flower sunflower seeds. Now, you're going to want to hang on to some of these for seeds. So, you know, I'm going to put this on the table over here.
Okay. And I know what I usually do is I will save a lot of them. They'll just actually like die where they stand. And then the birds will have snacks for the winter.
Oh, absolutely.
I like to make sure that everyone still has something to eat. Sometimes, I mean, depending on the season with my cannabis plants, there might even be one sacrificial plant that doesn't quite make it.
And I've seen your yard with cannabis seed plants that got seeded.
Yeah.
And, you know, they got fertilized. They
goes
went
to
the
the
seed.
birds. Yeah.
And, you know, that has traditionally been a big boon of the whole hemp world, is all those plants that go to seed and stand all winter, and the birds get those high oil, high protein containing seeds. Super important to them. So you've got all these other things going on with your cannabis, and that's awesome, because these things will provide shade. They actually absorb and release water into the ground. So they're going to help your cannabis with that. Also, you know, bugs like the easiest things to eat.
Yeah.
Cannabis is not easy to eat.
That's why I keep some of the other stuff, because it's bait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd far rather eat basil than cannabis. So give them basil and they'll leave your cannabis alone.
They're
you know?
obsessed with the stinging nettle right now.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I can see
take
them loving stinging nettle. Yeah, no scent, nothing to put them off. Yeah, so it's getting dark out here.
It is.
But yeah, you've got some great stuff. You've got some aromatic herbs going on here. And again, you know, your dill seeds are ready to harvest from these brown heads. But these little green ones with the little yellow flowers, they're still producing. That can still go into a salad just as is. But this kind of aromatic herbs, this is such good insect and environmental control. You're going to get praying mantises and ladybugs and everything coming in here to eat. So anything gets onto your cannabis, honey, the good bugs are going to get them.
Oh yeah. Well, I've noticed there's this, it's interesting to just kind of watch the balance of the ecosystems of like all these bugs. And even though I don't quite understand their function or purpose, all of them anyways, you know, some
Yeah.
of them are seen as pests. I know that there's this whole perfect biosphere that's happening right now in my own backyard.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of trusting the process.
Yeah, and it does work out really well. Your sage is doing beautifully.
Yes. If
Yeah.
you would like some seeds, you are welcome to them. I know you've got tons too.
But yeah, no, this is looking really, really good. And one of the things I'd really like to point out to people is that 4 years ago, Selena's garden consisted of this little bed here that had not much in it,
Hmm.
this lower bed down here,
All my borage going
yeah,
crazy and
yeah,
coming back.
and this set of beds here, which I think you have mostly into tomatoes,
Yeah.
and that was it.
That was literally it.
Okay,
Well, and that
so
tree and the
yeah,
plum
and
tree.
the well-established plum tree, but now, like one year, the stone feature and that planting area and the trees were
Do you want to
added.
come walk through and we can just
Sure.
do a quick view?
Yeah. So Selena went from these few little beds, that actually can grow a fair amount, and then they pulled out a dying cedar hedge along there
Yep.
and planted it into much more useful things in this environment.
I know you have such a disdain for cedar
Um,
hedges in a desert.
in the desert area, where I live up at Tappan, cedar grows in the forest. It makes sense to plant it there. Here, you're lucky if you can get a juniper or a pine to survive, let alone a water lover like cedar. So no, you know. So then let's go around this way. Because there's this lovely little fire pit and a bench.
I'm getting ready to burn some dead herb or dead weeds in there. I know last year you had mentioned that we can do that.
Tomatoville. Now, this is all new. All of these beds here are brand new, and boy, are they pumping out food.
Yeah.
It is amazing. This is just a small city lot. This is not a farm. This is not a set of people who have devoted their whole life to gardening. This is two people who are real newbies getting a grip on it. And, look, the production is amazing.
It's incredible.
Yes,
This is our blackberry bush. We planted it last year and then put the box around it, and it's going wild.
It is. It's just insane.
Every morning I just come in, I forage.
Yeah. And this is a trellis.
See, this is the stinging nettle, just so you guys know. And all the ants are farming those instead of my plant. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, you got these trellises for cucumbers to grow on. And then in between the cucumbers and the cannabis, look at the tomato jungle. Look.
So we got all the seed stock for this from you.
Yeah.
And we call this like Sarah's tomato patch because it really is. And it's cool. There's so much different variety. Like we've got, the Romas, of course, which are my personal favorite. And then we've got these like little sun gold tomatoes. Yep. Those are Alvas. I'm going to have one.
Yeah. Look at that. Isn't that just a near perfect tomato?
They're so delicious.
Yeah.
And we got these little teeny tiny ones. Can you tell us a little bit more about these little African pearls?
Oh, these are
They're
something
so
that
tiny.
Tastes like tomato and is close to tomato, but is not cross-fertile with your other tomatoes.
Interesting.
It's a member of the nightshade family, but so are peppers and potatoes. We eat a lot of nightshades. And so this little guy will definitely kick out the yummiest stuff, but you can plant it right beside your tomato and save the seeds from both.
Okay.
So if you do that, that allows you to grow more things in a smaller area and still save seeds.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
I had a question. So these are some carrots. And I've been looking into winter gardening. So
Yes.
I was thinking this might actually be a perfect little plot for it. But do I have to plant new carrot seeds now, or can I use those ones over the winter?
If carrots are a biennial,
Okay.
so the first year they grow this great big huge root. They put all of their energy, carrots do this, beets, turnips, all of your big nice root vegetables, parsnips. Okay. So the first year they store all their growing energy into that root, and it's a food supply, all sorts of carbohydrates and sugars in it. The second year they grow up into a bush and they feed on that root. And so that root slowly disintegrates over that second year, and you get a great big huge bush that produces seed. Burdock.
Mm.
Okay, burdock is a biennial. When we harvest it as a root and eat it, we call it gobo. When we let it stay in the ground and grow, we call it that goddamn burdock bush. Okay, like, we feel very differently about those two things. Okay. So if you pulled your carrots and cut the tops off and root cellared them, you could eat them all year. If you leave them in the garden and cover them with mulch, in the middle of winter, you can come out and you can dig them up and you can eat them.
Okay.
Or you can leave them till springtime and you can dig them first thing in the spring and they will taste like young, tender, new carrots. Or you can leave them in the ground and they will go to seed for you. But those carrots, if they leave them in this box and let them go to seed, you will not have room for anything else in this box. And you can expect them to grow into that chunk of the tree. They will take this entire area and overfill this box.
Okay.
Okay.
So probably don't want it to go to seed.
But what kind of carrots are they?
I don't know. They were one that I got from you at the market.
Okay.
They're sweet. They're delicious. They're longer and slender.
Oh, okay. They're probably the Nantes coralus then.
Okay.
Yeah. Are they blunt on the end or really pointy?
Pointy on the end.
Pointy on the end. Yeah, they're Nantes coralus. So yeah, if they're all the same kind, you could leave them and you get really pure seed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might do that for 1 year and then just kind of keep things under control.
You grow seeds, I'll buy them off you.
Okay. Well, you've been like knee deep in
I'm
seeds.
always looking for people willing to grow out. So yeah.
Well, you know what? That's what we do every year. Is we do grow out at least some, like with like the basil, for example, right now.
Well, yeah,
She's going.
It's important, and the more seeds you can swap and trade around with other people, really, the better.
Can we talk about that inside, about the food security movement and the
Yes.
importance of saving seed?
Yes, the
And
whole medicine and food sovereignty is so huge. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go inside.
Sounds good.
I just want to show you. Look at how big this girl got. So she was a gift from a friend in the community. I got her as a teeny little cut and she took off. So I think she's going to do really well. And this is a Bubba Cross. And she smells beautiful. So as I come outside, she's just so yum. Delicious. All right, well, let's go inside. So if you would all love to join us, maybe get a doobie ready. Maybe grab a quick water if you like. Water's awesome. There's the garlic braid. I'm so happy. We're just gonna hang out in my living room. So bear with me as I get this all set up. All right.
Still feels like we're in the garden.
I know. We're in the jungle garden.
Yeah, we are.
Where are we?
In the jungle room.
It is the jungle room. I love it. Well, let's see if I can make this straight so people aren't going nuts. I think it's okay.
Awesome.
All right. Let me just move this way. You can see you, Sarah.
Oh, you need to move in a bit?
Come in just a little bit. We can get a little cozier.
Yep.
All right.
Sure.
Awesome. Oh, and as I remember, someone did ask me about this monstera behind me, and yes, it's totally real.
They all are.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just see if I can get this straight because my OCD. Yay! Okay.
Well, what garden? You've done well.
Well, thank you, and thank you
Yeah.
so much for teaching me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been years of like acquiring knowledge and applying it, and
It's the only way to do it is bit by bit and
Yeah.
build on what you know and move on to a new one. And you know, and now you know you're out there knowing how this grows and what that does, and it's looking awesome. It's looking amazing.
I love the garden. She's one of my absolute favorites. Like I love getting up. I love watering her. I love taking some time to just connect. And I love that I can just literally go out there and forage my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner. Everything is so fresh and flavorful.
Yeah.
And I feel like she just keeps giving.
Yeah.
You know?
I watched, I don't know if his name's escaping me now, and for that I apologize. But he does some pretty extreme things, and one of his zero waste things was he wore his garbage that he had for a year. Yeah. So he did another one where he decided he would live off of only what he could grow and forage for an entire year. And I shared the video to my Wise Woman page, C page, because what I liked about what he did was he didn't move to a farm. He didn't, you know, oh, lovely. And which variety is this?
This is a God cross, one of yours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had God one year, and then, I don't know, she crossed with something.
Something.
Something happened.
If we're lucky, maybe the Congolese.
Oh, that was such a good year. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, she's delicious. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to show you this too. So this is one of the girls that we grew, I want to say it was in the winter. We just got a little bit left of her. She's just so gorgeous.
Look at the crystal on that girlie.
She's just a happy girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice, healthy growth. So lovely.
Yeah. So I just want to say hey, and I just got in front of my computer, so I want to say hey to everybody. So Dekaim Brew, yes I am so happy in my garden. Tony Neg, much love to you. I want to say hey to Dave. I love your dabs and your hearts. Steve Giannini, so great to see you. And Matthew Fernandez, so great to see you too. I haven't gotten the seeds yet, but thank you so much for sending them. I can't wait to get them in the ground. Hopefully we'll be able to do it for a fall garden, and if not, for the spring. I want to say hey to Canna Mama, Ace Trey, Survivor One Time. I want to say hey to David Hall, CBC voter, Harmony Smurf, that's a sweet name. Welcome, welcome, welcome. John Maddox, so great to see you here. Oh, so much love to you too, brother. Honestly, it's all about overgrow. Just really get the seeds out there. So I was hoping maybe you can share a little bit more with us about the food security movement and why it is so important to save seed, as well as why it's like our intrinsic right to being a sovereign being on this planet.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where it comes down to me, basically. But, you know, we lost a lot of food and medicine diversity when when farming became a corporate venture, okay? So, you know, varieties of all kinds of things were selected for color, shippability, how do they stand up being shipped around the world? Do they all come ripe at close to the same time so we can like just go in and pick crop and be done. And, you know, like take all of the variation out, hit this main center part of the bell curve, forget everything on either end of the bell curve, and just concentrate on that. Well, it doesn't work for education, and it doesn't work for vegetables either. It really doesn't. And so when you grow out your seeds, like you grew out purple peacock whole beans, so did I. If we mix those, now my beans are going to be absolutely perfect where I live. Your beans are going to be absolutely perfect where you live. But if you and I mix some of those beans and give them to other people, then you've got more genetic diversity. And those years that the summer is shorter, those beans those few that are okay in that short season will produce. Other years, when we've got a longer season, you'll get more beans and you'll have like more variation. So then when you start getting into all the different varieties and how much we've lost, and it's like, you know, it's like family recipes, you know, like my grandma's pierogi recipe is over the moon, and you hoard it and you save it. Well, for gardeners and vegetable growers, it's the same thing. It's like, no. I don't want to buy that green everyday acorn squash I see in the store. I've got this Thelma Saunders sweet potato squash that we've been growing for decades, and it doesn't ship very well, but geez, it's good. You know, or those tomatoes that you have out there. They're not of interest to the commercial world, but they thrive in your garden and they feed you really, really well. So I think it's really important to save your own seeds so that you grow what grows really well for you. I think it's important to trade seeds for genetic diversity and for the fact that it builds community. And, you know, you want to find out how your seeds did. So, you know, you keep in touch.
Well, and I like that. It's almost like, you know, you create these little babies and then you put them out into the world and then you're touching base and like, okay, so how did they produce? How are those tomatoes? You know, like, what did you think of such and such this year? What did you make with it? And then you can also share recipes.
Exactly.
Which is like sharing community and stories and experiences.
Exactly.
Food brings everybody together. So does cannabis.
Yeah, but the whole seed world took a really dark turn in the 90s. Okay, it took a really dark turn.
Let's talk about it.
Yep. We started having genetically modified crops where the DNA sequence of a plant is interrupted with a gene gun or some other technology.
I'm gonna just get it later. Keep going.
And DNA from a foreign family is spliced in. So the Flavor Saver tomato was one of the first ones. They spliced in shellfish DNA into the Flavor Saver tomato so that it wouldn't rot, so that it would last, it would remain this color, it would ship really easily. But primarily, it would be resistant to insecticides. Now, it was sold along the line of, we need to feed a whole lot of people, and these genetically modified crops are going to do it. We're going to be able to grow golden rice instead of white rice,
You can try that one.
And get people their vitamin A. Well, golden rice, the third time around, was still a complete failure. A lot of the early ones suffered crop collapse, where the plant in the fourth or fifth generation would just destruct. But instead of breeding this genetically modified plants to produce more food or to produce more nutritional food, they concentrated on making those seeds, those plants, resistant to insecticides. So Roundup Ready became the buzzword in the industry. You know, this is Roundup Ready canola. You plant it in the field, you can spray the poison Roundup all over it, everything but it will die, it will thrive. Then we went on to Roundup Ready soybeans. Now, when we got a Roundup Ready sugar beets, were I think in about 2003. Then with corn, they amped it up a little more. They didn't make corn, well, they did make corn insecticide and pesticide resistant. But what they did with corn was the biggest problem with corn when you grow it again and again and again in an area is you get a bug called the corn borer beetle. And it doesn't come the first year. It'll only come when you've grown corn for 4 or 5 years, but it'll cut right through all the cobs of your corn and destroy your crop. So they added to the corn Bt toxin, which is a neurotoxin.
Oh my God.
So all the corn has it all the way through it. You can't get rid of it. It's there. And it kills every insect that eats it. So bees feed on corn pollen, they die. This is the Bt toxin, you know. It took it up even worse. Now they've gone to tree fruits and they're making the Arctic apples that don't brown.
And the non-browning apples, yes.
You know, so
misleading.
These people are thinking in terms of how can they make the most money in the quickest way with the least amount of loss, okay? And that's all they're focusing on.
Yeah.
Period. Also, this opened the door to patenting seeds. Now, when you buy GMO corn or anything else, you sign a contract promising you will not sell the seed to anybody but them, that you will not save seed and replant it next year, that you will not. That seed is there. So the only thing you're allowed to do is grow it out and accept a bit of money for the seed. You cannot save it. You cannot do anything else with it. Now, I grew up on a farm. I grew up around animals. I know how you control an animal when you cannot control it in any other way. You control its food and water. I've never done it, but I have seen dogs, horses, cattle. I have seen animals starved into submission. And like I said, I haven't done it, but I've seen it done. And I know it can and will be done to people. So if you can't buy and grow seeds and save those seeds and feed yourself, every year you have to buy those seeds. Every year you have to buy those seeds. Every year you have to buy those seeds. They've got you.
Yeah.
I don't like to be got. I don't like to be owned. I think we're sovereign individuals and we have the right to remain sovereign individuals.
Absolutely.
So save your seeds and grow your own food. This BS about you can't grow food on your front lawn, yes, you can. Grow it.
They're right there.
Grow it.
Grow it.
You know, don't let them stop you. And grow things. Grow open pollinated varieties or heritage varieties that are often called, or heirloom varieties. Save the seeds.
And I love that you've shown us how easy it is. It's literally just like shake them off the plant or just kind of pull
Put them in a
out.
brown paper bag, you're done. Label them.
Label
them.
Because you will not remember. And then you're like, I know this is a delicious garden, but I have no idea.
Yeah, what it is. Yeah, so label them. But really, you know, we need to retain the right to feed ourselves. And I take it one step further, and I think we have the sovereign right to grow our own medicine, to make our own medicine, to medicate ourselves.
Yes.
Okay? And this is a sovereign right. If there's no victim, I can't see it as a crime. A victimless crime is not a crime. Right now, this is legal, but even before they went back to making it legal, me smoking it should not be a crime. I'm not hurting anybody but potentially myself. And I see that with everything. If I want to grow opium poppies and make my own laudanum so that I have what I need for a toothache in the moment, I should be allowed to do that. Now, I don't think you should be allowed to just make things willy-nilly and sell them. That's not what I'm saying. But you can make your own medicine. You can have your own medicine lab tested.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
you
you
can. All of this
can.
stuff tested now through, what is it, testyourdrugs.com, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
With Dory Dempster. She's amazing. And Dina Larson from the dispensary.
Yeah. So you can make your stuff. You can get it tested. You can know.
You can also pay to get it lab tested.
Yes.
You can get it tested. There's a lot of Health Canada accredited labs or certified labs.
Lots of them. You're not flying blind if you make your own medicine. And it dawned on me about a decade ago how badly we've been lied to. When I showed a few people who had never done it before, we got fresh raw milk from a farmer who has a cow. And
which you've been doing for...
Yeah, I grew up on this, so I fed my kids on it. I know what I'm doing. So the first day we bring it home, we scrape off all the cream, and we make butter. And the next day we take the skim milk and we make cottage cheese. And at the end of it, the one guy, Malcolm, looked up at me and went, I've been lied to my whole life. I was told this shit was hard. And I was like, yeah, it's not hard. In the last half of the 20th century, we bought into outsourcing, okay? School became a full-time endeavor. You outsource the raising and educating of your kids. We started buying far more prepared food. We outsourced cooking. We outsourced, we're out working. We got to bring somebody in to clean the house. We outsourced cleaning. We outsourced laundry. We're getting almost to the point that you see in the movie Idiocracy, where nothing gets retained. You just, use it and toss it. And, we've outsourced so much that we've forgotten that we're capable of doing this stuff.
Well, that's the thing that blew my mind, even just this week. Like, I made the most delicious, easy, simple pasta dish for myself where I had like some garlic and I had a little bit of onion, some tomatoes, the aromas from our garden, some basil, of course, from the garden, and just like mixed it up, made a little sauce, and made like a nice drizzle on like a simple gluten-free pasta. And it was effing amazing. Add some salt and pepper. And that's it.
Yeah, and so you can cook.
It was awesome. And I was like, holy shit. And that's the thing too, is you think it's this really complex thing, but like 3 ingredients can do so much. And
absolutely.
I look at, like, because you're right, like making cheese, when I looked into it, I was like, damn, that's it.
That's it.
And you pay so much money for cheese.
I'd always made just sort of, the simple cream cheese or cottage cheese. So I went to a cheese making workshop, and in 3.5 hours, and that included my travel time of about half an hour at least in each direction, I came home with a big ball of mozzarella, a tub of squeaky cheese curds, and a big chunk of ricotta. All out of like a quart of milk.
Wow.
And so, it's like we need to reclaim this stuff. We need to stop buying into this idea that the government's going to look after us, that somebody else is going to take care of us. Like, we need to start reclaiming this stuff.
I think about like food labels in that way, where it's like we just assume because it's on a shelf and it's even marked organic that it's good for you. When it's like, no, like actually read the ingredients. And then also it comes, like sourcing and you know, how is it affecting those communities, where it's coming from? All of these things play a role.
That's huge.
So when you have it growing in your own backyard, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You're able to, like, I know for myself, I know everything in that garden is 110% organic. Like, it's so clean, you know?
Yeah.
And I did it that way for a reason. Yes, there's bugs, but that's life, you know, and that's how nature works. But I know that when I take that tomato off that vine and I put it in a dish, that it is the healthiest version of what I could possibly have. And I got it for like the least amount of money.
Yeah.
It's just love every day.
Yeah, exactly. So I like
Which is like the best currency.
I like to suggest to people that they start out real small, okay? So the first thing that you can grow that's really super easy and super rewarding in terms of ease of growth and usability are herbs.
Yeah. That's where we started because they're hardy.
Yeah.
And they come back every year.
Yep. And you can grow them in a pot on a windowsill. And even if we only grow a tiny little basil and a tiny little sage and a tiny little thyme, you've got fabulous seasonings that are going to taste so much better than anything you come across in the store.
Well, and like mint and lemon verbena, which is the tea we're having. It's so good. I've been playing around with that masterclass program. And here, my dear. I just love it. I'm learning how to cook, and just one of the women that was teaching, I forget her name. She's so good. She's also a wise woman in the kitchen. She was talking about putting together her two favorites, which is mint and lemon verbena. And we've been growing lemon verbena in our garden for a couple of years, and we've added it to like a couple of like cold teas, or you know, just having it because it smells so good, and putting it in like dishes. But we never thought to have it as like a tea, and it's so uplifting. Like, it's refreshing, it's happy. It just it feels like sunshine.
Well, both lemon verbena and mint are slightly stimulating and very uplifting, you know, so yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, and that's like an after dinner kind of like cap.
And with this smoke, boy, do our throats need the soothing.
Oh my God, yeah. It's been crazy. I just wanted to check in with everyone. Tara Lee, so happy to have you with us. Thanks for joining us and being a part of the conversation. Susie Sherlock, good to see you again. Yes, I know. I love cheese. So good. Yeah, that's interesting. You're learning about hypnosis to help cheese addicts allergic to dairy let go their attachments and learn how to substitute. Fuck, that's interesting.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because cheese, like, I love me some cheese.
We have a vegan cheese company in the region called Black Sheep Cheese.
I know.
I love the name Black Sheep Cheese, you know, like, and they're completely vegan, and they do some good stuff.
Okay, I'll check them out.
I know them Monteshikowa has them.
Okay, then I'm gonna go pick some up. I'll let you guys know how it is. I also wanted to say hey to iGoob. Yes, you planted lemon balm this year. Doing well outside.
Wonderful, wonderful
Will it
plant
last the
to have.
winter?
Oh yes, absolutely. It even survives the winter up in the Peace Country where I used to live, up in northern Alberta.
So you're
it's
good.
Fine. You're good. You're good.
JC, good to see you.
Perennial herbs are wonderful that way. You know, there's a few of them that are difficult to get through the winter. You know, like sage can be a little iffy up north, and so can thyme. But mint, catnip, hyssop, bergamot, verbena, lemon balm, all of them, they just do amazingly well.
Yeah, I love my classic sage, rosemary, and thyme. They're just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as we're thinking about the autumnal, sorry, I always want to call it the fall equinox. So as you're thinking about the fall equinox in autumn, I know it's half light, half dark. It's same of both. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, just as like a bit of as like a metaphor, but also, you know, just seeing it in nature. Nature shows us so many cool things. As you know, we have this like equal light, equal dark. And as we saw in my garden, you know, there's this shedding of leaves, a shedding of self, like these parts of me I'm done with, I'm letting them go. And nature does that so beautifully, you know, and not only does she let them go, she lets them fall to the ground and they become its own compost. It starts to feed the soil and it then brings in energy for new life and it gets things prepared for the next season. It's sustaining all these other life forms around it.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that this time of year, I know for myself, like I was sharing with Sarah earlier, I've been in this like intense, cleany, organizey kind of vibe where I've just, you know, it's harvest time, it's getting things prepared, it's, you know, tying up loose ends, it's completing things.
I mean, you look at goddess energies, you know, this is the time of year that, like in the Greek myths, you know, Persephone visited Hades and then she was silly enough to eat. And so she had to go back for a certain period of time. Those 7 seeds. She, well, Demeter, who's the goddess of the earth, and she goes into mourning. You know, so it starts slow, you know. Her daughter's gone. It's sad. She misses her. And a few tears fall. You know, and a few tears fall. And then it gets worse, you know, because she's not coming back. And the realization of just how long she's going to be gone sets in, and we're in the depths of winter. And then you see the hope of spring, and she's going to come back, and she starts preparing for her and making things lovely again. You know, and then when you look at some of the traditions around the corn goddesses, you know, in the springtime, you've got the corn maiden, you know, and she's dancing and she's life and she's listen and the world is lovely. And, you know, but this time of year, you've got the corn mother, you know, and she's mellow and she's quieter, but she's productive. And she's got wealth and bounty and, you know, the idea of harvesting your corn and making lovely little corn dollies out of the cobs and you know, and I love harvest rituals, you know, like I don't do it as much anymore because my hands are getting hard.
I can help you.
But weaving wheat, you know, weaving the wheat, weaving the stems, you know, drying, you know, I go and pick rose hips and I can't resist taking, you know, some big, long, beautiful boughs that have a lot of them on it and bringing them in the house. It's like, it's not just about getting the food from the rose hips. It's that, I love that whole gardening and harvest energy. It's just it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, like I do a fair bit of canning and food preserving and something that was so satisfying to open that cupboard and see, you know, there's my blackberry jam, there's the canned peaches, and there's the brandy cherries for the Black Forest cake in the dead of winter, and you know, and it feels to me like an amazing bounty and wealth.
I agree, and I'm excited for this winter because I've got so many tomatoes, as we all saw. So I'm getting prepared, and you were giving me some tips as we were driving back into town about storing tomatoes. But I'm sure you're all swimming them too. Like, do you have any tips about storing and preparing
you know,
and preserving?
all those lovely little cherry tomatoes that you've got, like that plethora of them, you've got a Vitamix.
Yeah.
Just put them through your Vitamix.
Okay.
Cherry juice or tomato juice. Right
That's
there.
it.
That's it.
Okay.
Right? Like that.
With the skins on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, peeling cherry tomatoes is
sounds like a nightmare.
Insane. I don't can a lot of tomatoes anymore because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do, I tend to can them with the skins on because I'm lazy. And
I also, you know, a lot of hacks.
Yeah. But I freeze my tomatoes a lot. And then they're just like frozen and I run them under hot water and the skin slides right off. It's just like the tomato's still frozen, the skin's thawed out, it comes off, damn, be done.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I bother to like process tomatoes, it's usually so that I'm going to be making my own ketchup or my own barbecue sauce, you know, and I'm going to be doing like a lot of cooking. Because otherwise, it's just like, to me, it's just more work than it's worth when you can freeze them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's coming on so fast now. It's like I can't keep up with processing.
I freeze a lot of my berries and stuff. And then if I'm going to make jams and jellies, I do it in the winter. Because it doesn't hurt them to freeze them and do it later. And like you said, it's so busy. Like I'm planting things for fall, like for early winter harvest. I'm harvesting. I'm, you know, butchering out my chickens as they come big enough to do so. I'm running around picking fruit and, you know, and then I'm preserving and I'm, you know, and so if I can throw those blueberries and strawberries in the freezer and get to them in the winter, I'm happy with that.
And how do you like do that? Like, do you just have them on like a cookie sheet in the freezer? Just
Yeah.
let them freeze out and then just throw them in a bag?
Yeah, berries especially are so high acid, and fruit, that you don't have to blanch them the way you have to blanch like bland vegetables, like, you know, your peas and your corn and your beans, and that you actually have to blanch them to stop the enzyme. And blanching means immersing them in boiling water for a minute, cooling them down, and then freezing them. You know, so you don't have to do that with berries. As a matter of fact, you'd kill them if you did.
Okay.
You know, so don't do that to your berries. But they're super high acid, and so they don't need that. And I just spread them out like the strawberries. I just, if I have to rinse them off, I wash my berries as little as possible because there's a lot of nutrient in the skin and that, but strawberries get dirty, you know.
Yeah.
So I rinse them and then I spread them out on parchment because they'll stick to anything else, and freeze them. And then I just dump them all in bags and they're good to go all winter long.
And you can do so much with them. Like you can like, literally eat them raw.
Oh,
just eat them frozen as a snack on the side.
I take them out. Blueberries are even easier because they don't usually need any washing. Like I get mine from an organic farm and they sort and pack them.
Oh, you gifted me some. They're so good.
Fabulous. Like I don't do anything with them, but I when I've been desperate and in a hurry, I just literally put the boxes right in the freezer and thought, screw it, I'll deal with the rest of it later. I didn't even get them into freezer bags, but they'll be good for a day or two. Yeah. But, you know, they're really easy. But in the wintertime, I usually start my day with a smoothie made with some of the berries and that. But my favorite nighttime snack is a great big bowl of berries that I just maybe sweeten really lightly, or like the blueberries. Trust me on this, is wonderful. Whipped cream with enough blueberries folded in to just sort of make it into a whipped cream blueberry ball.
Nice. That's easy and delicious.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely fabulous. And yeah, I have MS, and I keep the symptoms of it at bay with my diet and with what medicines I choose to use. So I supplement daily with primrose oil. Evening primrose oil is fabulous anti-inflammatory, rebuilds cartilage tissue, helps rebuild nerve tissue. Perfect for me. I eat a really high omega fat diet, and I mean really high. Like hemp seed hearts in my smoothies in the morning, hemp seed hearts sprinkled on almost everything, a lot of butter, a lot of good quality cream, high oils. So not a vegetarian.
Do you eat nuts?
Oh yeah.
Like
oh gosh, yeah.
I know the hemp hearts, but
yeah.
What are some of the other nuts that you
almond? Oh, I love almond butter. But you know, I also really believe in eating regionally, and right in Kelowna, our drive away, is the Galatly Nut Farm. And they have hazelnuts and butternuts and English walnuts and black walnuts, you know?
Wow.
So, you know, if you have a Champion juicer and you put your hazelnuts through the Champion juicer to get the nut butter, you'll get a little bit of oil, and you can either mix it back into your butter, but I like to use it in other things as well, you know, and
That sounds so yum.
yeah, and of course with Rancho Vignola,
Oh,
we're giving plugs,
I
but
love, yes,
yeah,
yes.
but you know they're
Sue,
local.
we love you. Sue,
Sue,
we love you so much, and I love your family. You guys feed everybody in this region and beyond so
well. And they
well.
bring in, like every year, they bring in the fresh crop of nuts. And you know, I used to get when I lived up in the up in northern Alberta, I would buy my food in bulk, and every year at the fall food order, I would get the fresh nuts, and they would come often in a tin that was sealed, and you know they were lovely. So one day I said to this friend of mine, "Oh, the nuts dried. Would you like some almonds?" She sort of shrugged and said, "Okay," and she took an almond and she chewed it, and she looked at me and she went, "Okay, that was weird." I said, "What do you mean weird?" And she said, "Well, it tastes like almond flavoring."
Okay.
Like, it's an almond.
That's what it's supposed to taste like.
And she goes, "Well, I buy almonds all the time, and they don't taste like anything."
Dry. Oh no, honestly, Rancho Vignola, their stuff is next level.
Yeah, like I thought walnuts were the grossest nuts on the planet as a kid because they were the only nuts my mom would buy. They came in a cellophane bag off of the shelf of Safeway. Christ alone knows how old they were.
Oh, my mom's like bulk bin at Superstore.
Yeah, okay, well, that's better than the walnut pieces all chopped up in advance, you know, in the little cello packs at the baking. Bitter, nasty,
so bitter,
horrible.
Yeah.
It was like, why would anybody eat these? Then I had fresh walnuts and went, oh my God, what have I been eating? And I see that reaction with people. My friend Wendy Allen, when she ate the first time she ate a tree-ripened apricot and looked me square in the eye and said, "This is not an apricot. I hate apricots, and this is really, really delicious.
Amazing.
What is it?" Well, when you've only eaten apricots that are picked green, shipped around the world, and they're those, I don't even know what they are. I look at them and go, they don't even look like food to me.
I just remember all the dehydrated ones, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least the dehydrated ones were worth eating.
But you know, my first apricot experience, I think I was like 24 or something, and it was the same thing. I was at a girlfriend's house. I took a bite, and I was like, no way. It was so delicious. There's nothing like fresh ripe.
Yeah, well, I had so many young people come down to visit from Grand Prairie area where we used to live. And so many of them would say, "Oh, I don't like tomatoes." And then we'd get out in the garden, and my favorite was this little guy who, "I don't like tomatoes, but this one's actually okay." Yeah. And he tasted them. "This one's actually okay. That was really sweet." That one, and I said, "You know, Carl, I think you like tomatoes." And he said, "I didn't know they could taste like this." And when you've grown up on tasteless tomatoes bought out of the supermarket in northern Alberta your whole life, well, I wouldn't like them either.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things that I was reminded of as we were in the garden with those little teeny tomatoes, those beautiful sun gold tomatoes, was when we were in Italy like 7 years ago. We drove by all of these tomato fields, and it was amazing to see how they handled it. Like, it wasn't like, you know, trying to keep everything pristinely clean. They let the tomatoes fall. They let those be the seeds for the next year. It was like the most laid back gardening ever, but it was the most effective.
Mother Nature's ridiculously generous.
She's so generous.
Yeah.
I mean, one tomato alone, how many seeds? There's so many seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got a whole farm plus for life. I know. You were talking about earlier, not today, but on another visit, we're talking about the lovage and how literally I have so much seed it can like feed the world.
Yeah. Like you plant one bean seed and you get a whole great big bean vine. And, you know, like, I love the concept of, you know, you can count the number of seeds in your apple, but you can't count the number of apples in an apple seed. You just can't.
I love that.
You know, and it's the seeds are like that. You know, I love them. You know, like if you just remember that tiny, tiny little seed is a brand new plant and it's all set to go on a great huge adventure and find someplace new to grow. And it's got its lunch packed right along with it to keep it happy until it's found a place to grow. And it's just so cool.
Well, and I think about that like with cannabis, like what a versatile seed. What a hardy seed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it can last for literal thousands of years.
Yeah. Cannabis is one of the seeds, like there's a lot of berries and seeds that are designed to germinate when they go through a digestive tract. Like tomatoes are like that. Most of your berries are like that. They're actually a perennial plant, and so, you know, they trust their major amount of growing is going to be that they keep growing, that they grow new plants from the roots, that they grow new plants from the runners and that. So they kind of see seeds as an emergency backup plan, which means they have to be super, super, super hardy.
Mm.
Okay, if it's an emergency backup plan, the whole freaking forest might have burnt to the ground, and that seed has to wait 3 or 4 years until there's enough soil and moisture to grow again. So a lot of seeds are designed
of course.
to go right through a digestive system in order to be digested and grow. Now, cannabis is one of the seeds that can actually, in its pulp, go all the way through a digestive system, not crack open, and still be viable 3 or 4 years later.
No way.
Yes way.
Okay.
It is a super survivor plant,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a super survivor seed. And I am ever so grateful they found a way to take all of those hulls and husks off and get to the meat of the hemp part. Because I remember cooking cannabis cookies with unhulled seeds.
Okay.
Because that was what was available, you know. I can remember trying to, oh, this is a funny one, trying to use my combination meat grinder food processor to grind the cannabis seeds and destroying it so badly it exploded all over my entire kitchen. The cannabis seeds was tougher than the worm drive mechanism.
Oh my God, I believe it. I ruined a juicer once trying to juice cannabis. Oh man.
Yeah, so, you know, I love the
She's a hardy girl.
Yeah.
She's hardy. Yeah, and hemp hearts, I mean, they contain all of the essential nutrients for a human body.
Oh, all the essential oils. They're definitely light on some of your vitamins like C and that, but you can sprout your unheld ones and get your vitamin C that way. And that's the other thing about seeds. When you gather your own seeds, you're gonna have a lot.
I have a literal bag of
so
seeds.
You know what? Bean seeds are edible. It's what we put in chilies and tortillas, you know? Yeah, those same beans you grow out in your garden, you can bring them in and cook them. Mm-hmm. Same with your dried pea seeds. You can cook them and eat them. You know, like most of the seeds that you save, because you haven't put anything on them, you can eat them.
Well, some of the ones that I did grow out for stews and stuff. Yep. You know, like what are those varieties called?
Oh, I've got quite a few. One of my favorites is the good old scarlet runner bean now. I just love it. You know,
she's a classic.
Oh God, yeah. It feeds so many pollinators all summer long. Those red flowers just call them in and call them in. And, you know, the beans themselves are so unremarkable as a green bean. Like, even if you eat them little, like they're edible, you know, but they're not.
Unremarkable. Yes. They're quite underwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, if you leave them and then you get these beautiful, big, big, big beans, and they're great for soups and stews and sprouting, you know. Winter is hard. Now, we don't do too badly here, But a lot of communities, you can't get vegetables that are worth eating in the winter.
Yeah.
But you can grow your own sprouts if you have seeds.
Well, and I love the aliveness of sprouts, especially
yeah.
when we're like getting like February and you're like, I just need something green. Like
Yeah.
I can't eat any more tomato or potatoes I need. I need
Oh
something
yeah, and you know, like those
alive.
sunflowers that you grew.
Mm-hmm.
Save at least 1 or 2 heads. Grow sunflower sprouts.
Oh, I love that.
Just
Okay.
grow them up and cut them. You know,
That's easy.
it's easy. Just sprinkle the seeds on a hemp mat that you can get from me, and keep them damp. And when they get up about this tall, cut them. Put them in your salad.
Okay.
They're lovely. Yeah. And you can do that with so many of these sprouts. Yeah.
Okay.
Peas are another one, you know, like let peas grow up about this tall and cut. Clover. Love clover sprouts.
Is so good for you.
Yeah. I mean, alfalfa kind of starts to pale when you start, you know, radish. Oh my God, if you like a zing in your salad, radish seeds.
Okay.
Sprout radishes,
okay.
You know, you give somebody a sprout sandwich and they think it's alfalfa and they bite in and it bites back and it's really funny.
I've had them once and yeah, it was too much. I like them interspersed with the other sprouts. Yeah. The garlic sprouts are so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but you know, sprouts, like grow your own food as much as you possibly can. Yeah. It really matters.
So, you know, like at this fall time, one of the things that I'm reminded of is this really is like the beginning of the whole next cycle for next year.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, my garden, obviously there's some things that need to get done, but could you kind of go through with us? Like, I love that you're always talking about astrological biodynamic gardening. I think it's fascinating. Yeah. So, you know, considering the time of the year, considering that it is harvest time and we're preparing for the next, what are some things that people should be doing in the garden?
Well, this little window that we're in right now in this week.
So before the new moon.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Coming up to this.
So we're on the waning moon right now.
Yeah. So we're in this 4th quarter. And there's things you can plant in the fall, but this 4th quarter isn't the time to do it. Right after the new moon, we'll have time to do it, okay? But in this 4th quarter, if you dig your potatoes now, they'll keep better.
Okay.
Okay? Dig them in that 4th quarter. The 4th quarter is about the dark of the moon. So harvesting your root vegetables is absolutely ideal. Mm-hmm. You know, the energy is really, really right for that. Cultivating that ground and preparing the soil is a good one too. So if you're going to be planting fruit trees or any kind of trees or shrubs this fall, this week is a great week to prep that soil. Get it all ready. Next week when the moon goes new, we're going to have great planting windows.
So prepare for the plant and then get ready for the plant.
And get ready for it. Dry your seeds. Harvest and dry your seeds at this time of the moon. You know, the moisture is lower, the water energy is low. Things will dry well, and they will keep really, really well. Do it now before the fall rain starts, please. A lot of your seeds have to get gathered before the fall rains. I've had bean seeds sprout in the pods on the vine because the fall rain started.
Oh no!
And it's like, well, now they're puckered. You know,
you just eat them; they're sprouted. I guess.
Yeah, well, you can't even sprout them anymore, like because
they're
like,
just friends.
But you can cook them.
Okay.
Like you can use them in chili and stuff. But
that's your last resort.
It's really kind of ucky pulling semi-sprouted seeds out of semi-rotting pods that are all soggy and wet. It's without a doubt the most unpleasant. So
I was just thinking, I'm like, that's the sad part sometimes because it does get soggy fast here. I mean, I'm seasonally hot. Like we had a 31-degree day.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. It's ridiculous. And then now with the smoke. And I just wanted to say for all of you that are experiencing the smoke and also for those of you who aren't, you know, like my heart's with you. You know, this is a crazy time on the planet.
Yeah, we've both been in the situation where the fires have been very, very close. And although we're really, really blessed that isn't so this year, oh, my heart goes out to you. It is so hard to be on evacuation, to be actually evacuated. It's even harder to lose in a fire, and just know that my prayers and thoughts are with you. They really are.
Mine too. And I'm really putting out, I hope that if you are somebody that's on kind of standby or you've already been evacuated, that you're able to just remember that like home's right here and ground out into yourself. This is one of the most difficult times I think that we're going to be starting to see on the planet. And Marcus and I were talking earlier, it feels like pre-apocalyptic in ways. A few years ago we had, in the Okanagan anyways, but in this region we've had a lot of forest fires, a lot of close calls, lot of crazy.
It's been so crazy this year that I'm beginning to
You're
believe.
like laughing. That's why it's so crazy.
I'm laughing because I'm remembering that I saw a cartoon where they showed the poor dyslexic Mayan who got it wrong and wrote down 2012 instead of 2021.
Shit. Feels like it. I'm not gonna laugh.
It's been such a crazy year that I'm like, of course we're going to have fires in September. Normally we have rains in September and the fires get put out, and yet here we are in September looking at 30-degree days and the country on fire, and it's sad. It really is.
It is.
We were talking earlier this evening on how to be happy.
Yeah.
And
not just spiritual bypass, but also there's definitely a science and a technique to it.
Yeah, so one of the adages that came out of China around happiness is that if you want to be happy for a day, roast a pig and throw a party. It's easy. You want to be happy for a year, get married. Then you get to roast the pig, throw the party, and the happiness extends for that whole year. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, grow a garden.
Yeah.
And Selena is such an embodiment of that.
The garden is like the most incredible thing, and I don't know, there's something really special about going out somewhere every day and connecting and feeling the ground under your feet and just water on the soil and just being in that zone. Like, it just feels so good. And then having those cycles where it's like, the seeds in the ground and you don't see them yet and you're like, did they pop? Are they okay? Are they good? What's going to happen?
I want to ask you a question, because you and your husband have had a fairly scheduled life for the last few years with his work and you've had to schedule caretakers and you've been driven by schedule a lot. And I live very driven by the natural calendar. Like, I know when the equinox is coming. I know what phases the moon are in. And what I'm going to ask you, because I'm just dying to know, is working more closely in the garden the way you have, has it put you into more awareness of all of the natural rhythms?
Oh, yeah.
It must have been like.
So yes, and in so many ways. Honestly, for me, if I were to just do a quick snapshot comparison, going from the scheduled task, like, okay, next on the list, that's a very anxiety-inducing place, and it's a very mental place. And I feel like, especially when I've gotten more in touch with like my body and myself and feeling into the world and responding, as things are coming up, like having the inspiration, oh, it's time to water the garden. It's time to do this in the garden. Oh, this fruit is ripe over here. Oh, this thing needs a prune, or this weed needs to move,
And it's not like there's no urgency. There's times when there's urgency in the garden.
That's right now. But also it's not anxious urgency. It's like an excited where it's like, this is the time, and that, I think for me, it's definitely bled into the rest of my life, where when the inspiration comes, I move towards it. If I'm finding there's a lot of resistance or there's like an anxious energy behind it, I kind of reassess. And I think, like, especially with the garden, it's all about prioritization, like things are coming on, things are happening now. So it's about being in the moment and responding to that in that immediate moment. not thinking about what you have to do in 2 weeks or whatever. Like, you're right there and this thing needs to happen. I mean, planning, of course, being aware of what's coming up, but it's been actually really freeing. And it definitely, I noticed for myself, it goes along with my cycle too. You know, like for myself, I just started my moon. So I'm moving into like a new moon time, and it feels aligned.
Yeah.
You know, so watching like not only like the cycle, or like both the cycles and the seasons, you know, and then watching and witnessing myself participating in that and allowing that to guide.
See, this is how I feel we're supposed to live.
I agree, and it feels so much better.
Yeah.
You know, and I get way more stuff done that way. That's the other thing that kind of blows my mind.
Isn't that amazing? You know, that's the thing that so many people find so amazing. Like,
it's so good. It feels so good. Yeah.
I have friends who come back from doing work in third world countries, and the thing they remark on over and over and again is how much more leisure time there is in these underdeveloped communities, but how much work gets done when the need is there to get the work done. And I really feel we've lost so much of that in our culture with this, I'm going to call it what I've finally come to see it as in my life, wage slavery.
Yeah.
You know, we are so tied to being on that treadmill, and please don't be hard with yourself. You have children to feed, you have bills to pay, you have things you have to do, and it's a merciless
it's a social
system.
Construct. It's a system that is created by humans, so things can change. I truly believe that. But currently right now, you do need money to pay your rent and to buy certain food or medicine or get insurance on your vehicle if you have one, put gas in the tank.
And it's why I so deeply felt what Stephen Hawking was saying when he said that those of us who have seen technology evolve and be potentially the salvation of humankind, we want to see that happen. We do not want to see factories that simply enrich the wealthy and drive the rest of us into poverty, because now we don't even have jobs. And it's like, no, we need to, as a society, we need to start addressing the fact that, like oxygen, like water, if we need money to survive, then it's time for our governments to acknowledge that the sale of the resources of our country needs to feed the people of the country, not the owners of the corporations that are developing the resources. Okay, they don't own the coal. We own the coal. We should eat from the food, the coal, from the money the coal is providing. And I'm choosing coal because we all know how bad that one has been exploited, and how badly we have been exploited for other people to get wealthy on it.
It's happening right now with water.
It is. It is. And believe me, if you think things are controlled easily by food, just watch and see what depriving people of and things of water will do for their ability and willingness to compile with stuff. So I feel our freedoms are being, we got sucked into this, outsource everything, it's easier, instant breakfast, instant profundity, instant wisdom,
Magic bullet.
And it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
We need to learn how to look after ourselves and then the people around us. And that's the only way to do it, is to build that community. Yeah, the companies and your government, don't rely on them.
Well, and they're businesses; they're not beings, And that, we had a conversation a while ago where you were talking about the conservative government in Alberta in the 70s versus now, night and day. I don't want to get into that part, but what I do want to talk about is, this idea where the whole purpose of the government is supposed to serve the people, the people's needs.
A government is not a business.
However, it runs itself like a business.
Well, that's new. And that's something that's a construct that's gotten more and more and more in the 21st century.
It's
a government is supposed to look after you. You know, like if you go back to, say, a kingship, okay, a kingdom. The king is supposed to collect a portion of everything. He's supposed to collect some of the crops. That's all brought, locked up in the castle, kept safe to be dispensed to the citizenry as they need it. The castle was where you had the root cellar. The castle was where you had the pens that could keep animals alive against the wolves. You know, it was all a big thing of protection, and the whole community benefited. But when we're going to take all of this and we're going to make this group of people rich, and you guys are going to keep working to pay. And we saw that happen the more and more and more we bought into governments. But in the 20th century, when we went from backed currency that, you know, this piece of paper represented that ounce of gold, and that ounce of gold was real and was there. Yeah. When we went from that to fictitious fiat money, but fictitious money, all of a sudden it became very, very easily to push prices way up and push wages way down, and
because it wasn't based, the currency wasn't based on anything.
On anything. It was all fictitious.
It was all notes.
And so we need to get back to real food, to real products, to real community. And, you know, technology can link us and unite us, and I'm seeing it happen. We just need to keep finding the ways that we can control it.
Yeah.
But a government's job isn't to make a profit. A government's job is to look after its citizens. So when we talk about, oh, the post office lost X amount of money, no. The post office, which is a service in this huge country where we need to keep in touch with each other and get stuff around, the post office is a federally run service.
Thank you to the people that run Canada Post. You guys are lovely.
Well, they've made it a private corporation now, which was stupid of them. But the original idea of the post office is it's a service, and it might cost money, but it doesn't lose money. Do we talk about our military losing money?
Right.
You know, do we talk about our healthcare losing money? Oh, our education system lost billions last year. Our education system cost billions. Our post service cost money. Didn't lose money.
Language.
Yeah.
Key to perception, language.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm mindful. I need to plug in my phone up there, but there's so much I want to ask you about. Just I mean, we could go off on tangents all day, which is what we do, and I love it. But, I mean, you've dropped so much wisdom on us, you know, just in regards to this time of year. You know, is there anything else that you want to share about, you know, this fall, this autumnal time, this equinox time, where, I mean, you had mentioned a little bit, kind of like a little bit of like ritual around this time. I think of the apple as so symbolic, you know, and I know there's a lot of specialness in apples, especially apple pies, especially, I don't know if you guys know this, I love this, when you cut an apple in half, like instead of top down, sideways, you get a gorgeous star.
I use that so much when I'm showing people sacred geometry, that if you cut this apple, you get this beautiful star design. I like to, I feel like a squirrel in the autumn, you know, like I'm running around and I'm tucking stuff away and I'm tucking stuff away and I'm putting this.
And then you're opening your cupboards and you're like,
and it's
keep time. I'm gonna go get the plug-in.
It's you know, to me, it's a really high energy time of year, and that can be challenging because the days are getting colder and shorter, and the nights are getting longer, and you know, you yourself might be wanting to kind of slow down. And it's actually one of the times of the year that I kind of allow myself a little more leeway around diet because I know I need the extra energy, so I don't worry about it as much, you know. So I might not eat apple pie for breakfast in the springtime, but apple pie for breakfast in the fall feels really right to me.
Hey, I'm down.
Yeah, and you know, so I tend to have, you know, more. Actually, in the fall, I often have more baked goods than I do in the winter time. You know, I want that apple spice cake while the apples are nice and fresh. And the other thing too is that there's so much around that I'm kind of preserving and eating at the same time. So I have all these recipes that are based on, I made jam and I had a little too much to fill, like I had enough left over that wouldn't fill one jar, but you know, so I'm going to use it up by maybe making um, tarts or turnovers, you know, or you know maybe I'll include it in you know, I'm slicing apples or peaches and I've got too much. Well, maybe I can do an apple cake, or maybe I can do a peach upside down cake, or you know. So I tend to be baking and cooking with the same foods that I'm frantically trying to preserve because they're all over my kitchen and in danger of rotting.
It's time.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you. Well, and the easiest way to store it then is just freeze it.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. I know, I'm excited. I'm excited I'm investing a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna fix this. It's my OCD, sorry. Oh, let's make it a little more. This kind of drags it. There. I don't know. Sorry. Sorry, you were saying though with like I was going to be investing in like some freezer bags, so some recyclable, reusable silicone bags.
About those.
So that way then I can just make the investment once and then I have it for life. Yeah, and they're wonderful. They can hold a full liter each.
Okay.
So like for making sauces and soups or just storing all of the frozen fruit, I thought that'd be perfect.
Cut down on your waste.
110%.
Yeah.
And honestly, like single-use plastics, ugh.
Oh, I know.
And unfortunately, especially in this COVID time, I mean, there's even more disposables happening right now. I just wish we were more mindful about it. Where like one thing I think the government should put in is like bins specifically designed for those types of things, like medical supplies. Why aren't those out?
Yeah, if it's so dangerous, where are the biohazard bins? I'm quite disconcerted about a few things, and I don't really want to get into it.
We're not getting into any of that.
Quite frankly, I don't know what to make of it. But I have really noticed a rollback in the zero waste approach.
Yeah.
You know, we're back to a lot of single-use plastic. We're back to a lot of disposal, and it makes me sad. I wish we weren't. You know, like.
But this is one of the things that I'm still being mindful of to like move it forward.
Yeah, I use a lot of rigid containers for freezing.
I was gonna ask. Okay, so like any kind of Tupperware?
Well, actually, my first one is kind of recycled one. So if I buy cream cheese, I buy it in a tub.
Yeah.
And freeze it, using it for freezing and storing. I buy my honey. I like to buy bulk from the.
I get my big jug too.
Me too. But if I'm buying honey on the fly in the store, I get it in the glass jars because they're canning jars. Like you can can in them, but the honey is never canned. Okay, the beekeepers fill it and put the lid on.
So it's a perfectly good canning jar.
So it's a perfectly good canning jar with an unprocessed lid.
Awesome.
You know, so when I'm calculating in the store, I take $1 off. Like, oh, that's okay, but that's, you know, I'm saving $1 by buying that, and now I've got a jar to use. Nice. And you know, so I do a lot of stuff like that. I've been known to put all my groceries in the buggy, go up to the till, run them all through, put them back in the buggy, trundle the buggy out to my car, and then put them in my reusable bags.
Yeah.
And yes, it's one more step than I would like to do, but I live where I have to take responsibility personally for every bit of garbage that comes into my house.
Mm-hmm.
There is no garbage truck that comes to the doorway. You know, everything I bring in, I have to pack out. Everything that I buy that I don't use, I have to get it to the landfill site and I have to pay to dispose of it. So you start applying that and you start getting very, very, very conscious of garbage.
Well, you see it, you know?
You see it. Yeah.
It's right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips like for the fall, just to kind of, I mean, reduce waste and also to, I don't know, kind of be creative in those ways?
Well, fall cleaning is something that we still all indulge somewhat in spring cleaning.
I love fall cleaning.
But fall cleaning was a tradition. Yeah. And so, you know, like take these last few weeks of decent weather to get to those things that you have to move furniture out to, you know, get the cleaning happening. And so that you're tucking things away in a nice, orderly way. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know, go watch Maria Kondo.
I know. Seriously, she's come up so much in my world. Like, so Marie Kondo, for those of you who don't know, she's this incredible Japanese woman who talks about how everything that you have should spark joy. Like this little kid cup that I have that I just think is so cute that I got at Daiso when I was in Vancouver. And I freaking love it. It brings me joy. So it's choosing the things in your home that spark joy.
Yeah.
That bring up that feeling of like, yeah, this is good for my environment.
Yeah. So, you know, while you move, you accumulate a lot of stuff in summer, a lot of us. And, you know, if you move into fall, carrying all that stuff, it just weighs down winter. And winter gets heavy enough. So lighten up before you get into winter, before you're stuck in the house with that 3 boxes of clothes that it's now a hassle to get the
I literally just downsized my closet. It feels so good.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, purge, you know?
And you know what's beautiful too? Like this is also a time of like, not to get into any of this, but you know, it's a time of like harvest. It's a time of like celebration. I know that Oma used to talk about her favorite time of year was the harvest party.
Oh, I love Halloween. I love Thanksgiving. I love the fall. It's like, yeah, and you know, traditionally, what goes on in the fall is just what we've been talking about. There's all this excess. So what better time of the year to gather your friends and feed the hell out of them, you know? Share. And, you know, give them each a squash on their way out the door, you know? That way you're not stuck with trying to figure out what to do with all 27 of them.
I make it COVID safe right now, so no more than 6 at a time.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, you know, it's a good time to gather. It's a good time to celebrate and to celebrate the harvest, to really feel good about what you've done.
Yeah.
You know? When I lived up north and we were, keep in mind this is in Alberta, so, you know, the atmosphere towards cannabis in the 80s and 90s was considerably more restrictive than here in BC.
Yeah.
And this is up in northern Alberta where, you know, we're talking redneck land, to be just really blunt about it. So we had there was a bunch of us that were
I love your bluntness.
the Peace River Grass Growers Association, Peace River Marijuana Society. And there was a few things that happened, like the annual fees, the annual dues, and there were annual dues, they weren't high. But everybody's $100 got thrown into a bank account so that it just was carried from year to year to year. So if any of us ever got busted, we had a nest egg for bail, lawyer, you know, etc.
Nice.
Even if it didn't cover all of it.
I love that the community had that to protect itself.
And it ended up getting used for 2 of the members, not me, but but two really, like, I think it was something like 6 years before we had to hit it. And then it was like 3 years before it got hit again, So we'd have the fall harvest party, okay? We do the potlucks and we'd have everything, but everybody would bring at least an ounce of their cannabis harvest.
Oh, I love this.
Okay. Now what we did, and this is I love this.
This is so fun.
Because we had a contest. Now the judging method was that the bags got a code put on them.
Okay.
So nobody knew whether that was their cannabis or anybody else's, okay? Like, they got a code and we had it all categorized over here. And we put out a 1/4 ounce of each type. The first baggie empty was the winner.
Okay.
We figured stoners know what's good. They're going to empty the good stuff first.
Honestly, I love that.
Worked every time. People go, oh, is this ever? Hey, A over here. No. D, try D. Oh, yeah, D's got it, and bam, it would be empty. Okay, back in. Okay, so-and-so, you do this.
From that time, like, was there, what stood out to you? I mean, it's just so delicious. There's so many things that would come into, like, consideration. And it was probably so cool, too, because then you all got to, like, enjoy each other's fruits of your harvest.
Yeah, and
share stories.
We got a chance to gather one last time before winter set in, which up there
everyone
was an ordeal.
Kind of,
It's an ordeal. So, fall traditionally, get together, harvest, eat the excess. And in a lot of primitive communities, it was the time where you culled the flocks, okay? Like, you weren't going to take every single beef animal into the next spring. You weren't going to keep every sheep alive. You weren't going to, there was going to be a certain percentage of the animals.
So it is like a dying time. That
needed to be taken out so that they could get the rest of them through. So you butchered and you feasted, and you feasted and you feasted. Yeah.
And then you also had for the winter to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's just, I don't know, it's interesting to me how simple those times seem, but how important that knowledge and that tradition is. And I think about, kind of what's going on now on the planet and how for a lot of people, like, we've really lost touch with being the ones that are doing the things, instead of outsourcing, it's like, I'm the one that's sowing the seed. I'm the one that's watering the garden. I'm the one that's, harvesting and pruning and turning that into something that I can use for later. Like, it's so vital.
For instance, I know a tiny handful of people my age who make a lot of their own clothing. I know almost nobody in my children and grandchildren's age range that make any of their own clothing. But when I look at my mother's generation, she knitted us mitts, she knitted us socks, she knitted us leggings when they were in style. She sewed, and you go back prior to that, we wove our own fabric. And now we have become convinced that all of that is like rocket science and best left in the hands of the professionals. And how much of your power do you want to give away?
I love sewing personally. I feel lucky, like my mom sewed, so I was around it when I grew up, and we would make like little dresses and stuff, and outfits and shirts, and then I got to mending, and then I would just kind of alter my stuff, and I love it. So the only sewing machine I know how to use is my mom's. So I just talked to her the other day. I'm like, it's time. She's like, okay, so we're gonna unearth it and have it available again, because really, I feel like that's also sovereignty: food, clothing, shelter. And that's a whole other episode. That's a whole other talk. But yes, I love it. Well, I feel like we talked about a lot of things. I'm curious, for everyone who's still with us, do you guys have any questions for Sarah? This camera is making me crazy. Not really, but smart. Have it work. Let's try that. Cool. Yeah.
Unless I go get my glasses.
Oh yeah, okay, Matthew Fernandez, yes. Are there any books that you recommend that we read on any of these topics? If you can't read that, I'll just
for astrological gardening, there's a lady, an author, Louise Riotte, Riotte. She's written a bunch of companion planting books like Roses Love Garlic and Tomatoes Love Carrots.
I bought Carrots Love Tomatoes.
Yeah, Carrots Love Tomatoes. Yeah, but
you gave it to me. As for a gardening.
Yeah, now she tried for quite a while to get across astrological gardening to people, and it wasn't flying as well as she thought.
Okay.
So she broke it down into sort of snappier, trendier things, and those two books got snapped up by the McKinsey Seed Company as promo books, and that put her on the map. But she also has written planetary planting and astrological gardening, so that's a really good place to start in terms of that. Square Foot Gardening by Mel Bartholomew.
I have his books. I'll just go get them so I can show you.
And How to Grow More Vegetables Than You Thought Possible on Less Land Than You Can Imagine by John Jeavons. That's Jeavons, John Jeavons. And it's How to Grow More Vegetables. And it's fabulous. It breaks down, 8 weeks before your frost is going to stop outside, start growing your tomatoes. I actually through this is my.
I'm just gonna show them. Yeah. So Carrots Love Tomatoes, super good. This one's by Louise Riotte.
Anything by Louise Riotte is worth the money.
And Mel Bartholomew's Square Foot Gardening. And this one is like a retired library book, so I didn't pay anything for this.
Yeah, Mel's come out with updates and updates and updates on the book, and he runs a whole course in that, so you can almost always find older copies. Now this here is, I refer to that as my magnus opus. That is my all-inclusive planting chart. I got really tired of cross-referencing John Jeavons with, his how many plants per person to plant, and and that with Mel Bartholomew's how many to space, with my Seed Saver's Guide of how many do you need to save seeds properly, with my, with my companion planting guide, with my what time of the year do you plant it. So I put together this chart, and it gives you the common name of your plant. So, let's see, okay, bush beans, okay, so, and it tells you whether it's an annual, a biennial, or a perennial. So bush beans are an annual. Their Latin name is Phaseola vulgaris. You plant that bean seed a ½ inch deep. You give it 6 inches between each plant, It's going to come up in about 13 days at the maximum. So if it isn't up, it gives you the number of days for germination. So you know whether or not that's rotten or just taking its time. It gives you the nighttime temperature to plant at. So don't plant your carrots if it's 4 degrees at night, okay? They need it up around 10 at night or they're not gonna germinate. So it's got that, the germination temperature. It's got the number of days to germination. Then it gives you the number of weeks to harvest.
I love this because then I can start planning it out in advance of when I start, and then it's like
if you know
that schedule part of Alva that he loves.
If it's going to take 4 weeks, you know that you're going to be able to plant it like lettuce. It takes 4 weeks. You're going to plant it over and over and over and over again, so you've always got nice fresh lettuce. So you're not going to, you know, and if something takes 13 weeks and you only get 8 weeks with no frost, you're going to know before you get into it, no, I can't do that one here, you know. So the number of weeks to harvest, the number of plants per person that you need to plant.
Golden. This is golden because when I think about food security and sustainability, this is what I need to know. How much do I actually have to grow of each plant in order to get the crop that I need to survive?
Yeah. And so maybe you need 6 cabbages, okay, to get through the winter. So plant 8 or plant 10. And know that you need those 6 to get you through. And then we start getting into the seed saving information. So how is it pollinated? Is it pollinated with insect help? Is it self-pollinated? Is it wind pollinated? Now the reason those things are important is if something's self-pollinated, it's really easy to save seed from. It's really, really easy to save seed from self-pollinators because you don't have to have them far away from other plants for them to breed true.
Okay.
You know, like your beans, you can grow black turtle beans in this bed. You can come over here. You can grow red kidney beans in that bed. You can go over there. You can grow your lovely blue lakes for fresh eating over there. You can go over here and do your runner beans or your pole beans because you've got all that room to go up, and they're not going to cross with each other. So it's really important that things that are insect pollinated need a fair bit more separation because the bees are going to be going from one to one to one. And things that are wind pollinated, they need a lot of space because the pollen is light, it's going to drift on the wind. So corn is a big one. Corn can cross-pollinate with corn miles away. You know, so you need to know how it's pollinated. And then you need to know how far apart do you plant to keep your seed pure? Then you need to know how many plants you need for good seed purity, okay?
Yeah.
So you might need 1 squash plant to grow enough squash for you to feed your family for the winter. But if you're a seed saver or in a seed business, you don't want a dozen or so squash plants so that you've got diversity, so that you can take pollen from plant A and put it on plants B and C, female blossoms, and you can get, you know, all sorts of genetic diversity going on within you. So this tells me how many plants you need for really good seed diversity.
Awesome.
And then how many years will your seeds keep?
Really
important. You need to know. You need to know that onions aren't going to keep any more than 2, maybe 3 years, and neither are parsnips. But those tomato seeds and those pepper seeds, decades, you know, like, so you need to know how long. So you need to know when you're starting to grow out, you go, oh, I need to grow parsnips. But if I don't grow out those Harris model that are now 2, 3 years old, they're going to go to waste. So I better plant them and get more of that into my seed collection. So, you know, you can rotate the varieties that you grow based on how old your seeds are, you know. Like for my tomatoes, I have about 120 tomato varieties in my collection.
Just a few.
I can't grow that many every year. Most years I grow out 20 varieties, maybe 25. Then I buy more until we'll bring it up to 30, but we won't go there. But I grow out my tomatoes for seed as I get low or every 5th year.
Okay.
Okay, so I might have, you know, a jug like that of tomato seed, but it's 4 years old. I'm going to grow out new stock and I'm just going to throw those.
Okay.
Because you want things viable. So
you wouldn't try and like have them grow out in their last year? You would just kind of like let them go?
Well, no, I'll grow them out from that. But once I get a new crop, I'll toss those old ones.
Gotcha.
You know, I don't toss seeds until I've got replacements. Okay. You know, but you know, once you've got replaced, toss the old ones and keep the new ones going. So on the back of this is all the directions on how to use it. And we've got it in our calendar.
I'll go get it.
Every year Wise Woman Seeds puts out an astrological planting calendar that has all the moon signs and the appropriate activities. Last year, for the first time, we did a date book, a journal type date book. And we launched that last year and we're really, really pleased with it. So yeah, we're putting the calendar together right now. It'll probably be ready in about a month, maybe 6 weeks. But this is in both the date book and the calendar. And of course, you know, I can certainly send it off to people as well.
So if you're looking for Sarah, go to Facebook and go to Wise Women Seeds and you guys can chat there. Or do you have a website?
Not yet, although we've got an appointment next week with the tech to set one up.
Yay! Okay, so it's coming. So this is Wise Women Seeds. This is her gardening calendar and Garden Like a Guru. I have been using your calendar for 2 years now, and I love it. And I love that, like, literally, here's I'll just show you. We make our little notes, our growing notes on there. So depending on what we're doing, and as you can see, you know, it's got the new moon, the full moon. It's got all of the different astrological symbols, and then on the back, this is the coolest part. I look at this page every day. It gives you all of the meetings. So on the day, what you're doing. So for me, when you're talking about cycles and like kind of just going with what's going on in the day,
yeah.
One of the things I liked about it is I'm like, okay, I do feel like doing this. Like it was a de-leafing day, I think, today and yesterday. Yeah. So I've just been like, okay,
yeah.
just
one of my
work on that.
One of our Wise Woman members, I posted yesterday, like, you know, a variety of things to do.
And this is in the calendar.
Yeah.
So if you guys, yeah.
If
you want one, go to Wise Women Seeds. I want you guys to just know about this because it's literally changed the way I grow and it's been so good.
Yeah.
And are there, so as I remember, Wise Women Seeds, maybe you can tell us a little bit. I mean, you guys are a very small company, but you have a huge seed stock and a lot of variety, like 400 different varieties.
Yeah, well, we kind of got going almost by accident. Because I've been involved with a huge seed swap and exchange that happens every year in the region. I think we're coming up to our 26th this year. Yeah. We were one of the few seed swaps that happened before the COVID lockdown, so I was very grateful.
It was like 2 weeks after, I remember.
Yeah. It was like, bam. Yeah, no, the very next week everything was canceled.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did the wellness show. And then the seed swap, and then that was it.
Your table at the seed swap. So this is at the Splatson Center, which is in Enderby. It's a beautiful round structure. It's gorgeous. I don't know what you want to share about the actual building because it's incredible. It's
absolutely gorgeous. It's built on the Splatson Res right beside the highway, and they designed it to be reminiscent of the traditional kukuli. So it's a round building, and it has a green roof. It has not a green painted roof. It has a planted roof that will ultimately, grow and look, but it already looks amazing.
It's beautiful, and it feels so good.
Hugely open inside with a mezzanine up above. It's lovely. It has lots of room for us. But we about 15 years ago, we realized that the seed swap was getting bigger. I think we broke 1,000 people about over a decade ago. And we realized that there needed to be more than just a seed exchange one day a year. Mm-hmm. But we actually needed to start some sort of seed bank where we could not just save seeds, but that we could actually get people involved in growing out new varieties. So if you've got a farm, if you're a market gardener and your livelihood depends on selling vegetables, and you have production in mind, so in the springtime, you buy your seeds, and you buy this hybrid cucumber seed because it produces really well, and cucumbers are a huge seed crop for you, or a huge cash crop. So you buy the hybrid cucumber seed, you plant it, you harvest your cucumber, you turf up the field, and you plant something else that you can sell. And then somebody comes along and says, but you don't save your own seed. And you're like, okay, I know this hybrid grows and produces well here. I don't know what heritage cucumber is going to grow and produce well in my field. I just don't know that, okay? Mm. If I grow my own seed, I have to grow more than I'm currently growing because I have to have enough to save the seed. And then I have to leave it in the ground long enough when it's tiny and tender. Even our big cucumbers that we eat are tiny and tender compared to what they look like when you harvest them for seed. They get as big as a squash. They get big and they get bloated. And it takes, instead of, getting those cucumbers out of there in the late summer, you're leaving them there well into the fall. And so you're giving up a portion of your crop, you're giving up your next crop, and you're not going to switch over on speculation. So you need home gardeners to grow out the heritage varieties, see what does well, figure out what does well, and then grow those out to get that seed acclimatized to the region, so that when you give it to the farmer, the very first year he grows it, he's going to have at least a decent crop. Now, we've helped 5 or 6 farms in the area go from hybrids to heritage to saving some of their seeds to complete seed independence. And that's really, really, really important. So we started out with a seed bank and giving people away seeds and it's like a seed library. You can go, now they're doing them as seed libraries, and it's great.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
You literally just select through the catalog.
Yeah. Get your seeds, grow them out, and then please bring them back. Well, as I started traveling around and giving seeds out, I found out something that just is silly. It's easier to sell something than to give it away. So
people don't want free seeds usually. It's weird.
So
there's this thing about this capitalist society that we live in right now, and having the fiat currency and something about the exchange. People
they don't value it if they don't exchange. So okay, cool.
But also fair exchange is good.
Yeah,
I think fair exchange, fair value exchange. So I love the idea of seed swapping.
That's
my absolute favorite.
So
everybody wins.
We started selling the Shishwap heritage seeds at a couple of bucks a piece, and the money went back into buying envelopes and expanding the seed collection and buying envelopes and buying mail out equipment and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, one year we realized that this was at the very minimum a part-time year-round job. So at that point, the seed group said to me, just keep the money. Just keep it. You give it to us. We spend it on this stuff that we give to you, and, you know, just like, keep it.
You're good.
And we trust you, and it's all good. And it just kind of kept growing, and it got to the point where we actually had to make it a company, and I now have a partner, and, you know, it's kind of magical.
It's so magical. Okay, so this is the fun thing. So back to Splats and Center. So Sarah's booth is like literally in the middle. So there's like these rows in the bottom, and then there's the mezzanine. So I'm up here. I'm with my friend Todd. I call him No Till Todd. He's the best. Him and his wife Jolene have this amazing company called Sweet Soil, and that's where I get all my soil from locally. Todd is a genius.
Yeah.
I will have him come and chat with us someday. But anyways, I'm watching from above. Your seed, your little table just gets swarmed the entire day. There was like lineups, there was like layers of people. This is again right before COVID. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Thank God we're okay.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, you know, and it was interesting to have you. I had a moment where I was like witnessing you in the middle, like talking to people and all these seeds going out. I was like, this is the best. Like there's so much there. So yeah. So, you know, it's kind of grown now. We took a right royal shit kicking through COVID. All the seed swaps got canceled. Yeah. That was my only sale vector. I said to somebody, it's like, you know how a retail store looks forward to Christmas? Well, I'm more like the Halloween store. You know, like I look forward all year to this like 6-week window that you can actually sell things and people will buy them. And then you're right back to sewing the costumes, doing the repairs, you know, and waiting, hoping that next year. Well, the seed business is the same way, you know. Like I put everything into the ground, I get seeds out to my growers, I, you know, get all these people on board, I get everything happening. The summer happens, I grow my gardens, they grow their gardens, fall comes, and people start sending me their seeds, and some of them know how to clean them, and some of them don't. So I'm, you know, you've been cleaning carrot seeds?
I've been cleaning carrot seeds for the last 3 days. Yeah. Dust in my nose, you know. But then I spend the winter packaging them, labeling them. First of all, germination testing them. So we've got that.
So what does that look like for people that don't know?
Oh, well, that means I take 100 seeds and I place them out on a paper towel and I spread them. And if 50 of them germinate, that's 50% germination, and they'll be going on the free table. If 75% of them germinate, that's 75% germination. And if they're a biennial, they'll be sold. Otherwise, they'll go on the table. There's minimum requirements for germination of seeds. Like it's actually legislated. Legally, I am supposed to put the germination rate on the seeds, and if I drop below a certain level of germination, I'm not supposed to sell that.
Well,
seeds.
And you do, and you don't.
And I don't, yeah. And so, you know, I test out the germination, and that means I have to go through all my labels, and at the very least change the germination rate on it. And then, you know,
or put them on the free table next year.
Yep, and
they're gone like immediately.
Oh yeah, they sure are. And then the seeds get packaged and labeled and sorted, and that takes me right up until like late January, early February, and then they're going into stores and the seed swaps start. And usually at the end of the year, all of my last year's seeds, like, so all of the things that were packaged and sold for last year, they all get put into one box, and they go to all the seed swaps with me, and they get put out at the seed swap tables, but they don't all get put out at one. I give some out at every seed swap, and they're a combination, you know, gift to the seed swap table and business cards for me. So it works really well. This year, I've got so many. I have hundreds of packaged, not sold seeds. And I have no idea how it's going to go. I'm thinking that next year, I just am going to have to be incredibly generous at the seed swaps and stuff, because
You usually are anyways.
I have just a ridiculous amount of leftovers this year.
So would it be okay if I invited the audience to contact you in the spring and see if there's any seeds that they can get from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, but like this year, to get things going, I offered for an entire month, all the seeds that people I mail ordered out were at half price, and it got a lot of seeds out, but it wasn't a good financial decision.
I know,
but it got a lot of seeds out, you know. And
Siobhan, she got her seeds from you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Siobhan from Blissful Alchemy, she's amazing. She is also a wise woman. She's a medicine woman.
Did you see the poppies she grew from my seeds? I was like, oh my God! I told her I need.
They were big, juicy poppies.
I told her I need some seeds back on those, because those were astoundingly beautiful. I searched all over the place to get true opium poppy seeds of a real large head formation, so that they're easy to bleed and get the sap from. And this lady Siobhan happens to live down in the lower mainland of British Columbia.
And I'm
and it could not be better.
I'm not like outing her for her growing poppy seeds, but they're amazing.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And incredible medicine.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about like that medicine too at this time. I mean, a lot more aches and pains come up. You know, this is kind of like a death rebirth time.
Things break down and regenerate. COVID has messed with the entire supply of opiates, and we're seeing the first and the worst on the street level. We really are.
Yeah.
But no, we are in deep doo-doo. We have depended on shipping everything, including our medicines, and we're in, you know, it's scary.
You know, what's even scarier now is the Urban Shaman just got closed, just shut down. Incredible. They've been servicing the community for like 25 years, and for those of you, for those of you who don't know the Urban Shaman, so this is Chris Bennett. He's amazing. He's an incredible cannabis historian. And his partner, Selena, they have been peacefully and responsibly retailing medicine to people in the community. And it's
30 years.
Almost 30 years.
I know, it's got to be.
Chris was one of the first hemp protesters in Canada.
Shit, I was in communication with them in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, when I was running my wildcrafting apprenticeship program, Full Tilt Boogie, I was growing San Pedro and a few other things, and I was in contact with the Urban Shaman. That, you know, this is horrible.
It is. So a lot of people have been using these natural medicines like kratom, for example, to help with replacing opiates and getting off of opiates, or at least using it as like an intermediary therapy. It's not addictive. It is safe if you're using it properly, and it's something that's really like liberated so many lives. So to continue to carry the torch, there's a new cafe that's going to be opening up in Vancouver that will also be safely and responsibly retailing these medicines to the community, because you're totally right. We're in the middle of what I think is the beginning of the worst and the worst and the worst we're going to see of the opiate crisis. And especially when supply chains are interrupted, especially when people are starting to cut product with other questionable substances. You know,
please get your drugs tested.
Get your drugs tested, please. Please, it's free. Please, honestly.
And push for decriminalization of drugs, okay?
Can we talk about that?
Please.
Please.
Okay, if it's decriminalized, you can get from a safe supply, okay? It's just that simple.
Yeah.
I could list dozens of countries in the world who have saved themselves thousands of dollars by simply decriminalizing drugs. If there is no victim, there is no crime, okay?
Yeah.
And the worst crime, one of the most horrific crimes, is causing harm so you can live off the money of it. So that's what we've got going on with illegal drugs. We've got people who are living off of the sale of illegal drugs, and very few of them really care anything about anything but that money.
It's not about making sure it's a safe
No.
product. It's not about caring about the person that's taking it. And unfortunately, a lot of the people, it's about the bottom line.
Yeah.
But there are a few, and that's where, you know, there are a few gems that are retailing safe medicine.
Yes.
Medicine that's been lab tested, medicine that's been grown and produced by people that
Yes.
have the intention to put medicine out there that's going to be
Absolutely.
helpful for the person that's receiving it and keeping that person in mind.
I had, when my kids were in their teens, I had so many conversations with parents who basically started with, look, I know you smoke pot and I don't want and my kid is, and I don't want you selling to my kid. And my response was always, no, these were friends. These were coworkers. These were, you know, people who in my opinion, should have known better. And I would immediately come back with, so they got a safe dealer out on the street that you're going to be 100% okay with? And they would stop and go, well, I don't want them smoking pot. Well, do you want them smoking pot, or do you want them smoking pot laced with Christ knows what?
Well, or like
or grown God knows how.
I'm trying to remember what it's called. There was spice. There was people buying spice because it's apparently THC free or something. And it was like hurting a lot of people. So so this is where, you know, I think that there can be like a peaceful intersection when you're talking about decriminalization, because there can be organizations like the Compassion Club Society, the British Columbia Compassion Club Society, where you literally have a not-for-profit, and the intention is to safely and responsibly retail these medicines to people in the community that qualify medically. And traditionally, we've been able to do that through a Section 56 exemption. So that's starting to happen now with psilocybin, which is exciting. And I know that MDMA is now like almost ready for market, which is exciting as well. So and ketamine is, you can prescribe for it now.
But no drug should be criminalized, okay?
I agree.
Like if you're addicted to heroin, you got there somehow, okay? And you probably got there because of pain.
Yeah.
And heroin's not the problem. The illegality is the problem. And people don't usually die from well-produced, carefully administered, properly taken heroin.
I didn't know that.
No, they don't. I mean, heroin addiction is one of the most functional addictions going. There are so many heroin addicts that get up and go to work every day. They actually do better in a lot of ways than alcoholics. Okay, they often don't have the rage outbursts and the blackouts, etc., that alcoholics do. They are using their heroin to manage their pain, usually because they can't get morphine on a prescription anymore.
Wasn't it funny that our friend the other day called opium poppies poor man's heroin?
And they are. That's what laudanum, the first step is laudanum, which is the sap in an alcohol. You're just extracting it. Then you refine it. You can get morphine, you can get heroin, you can get all sorts of stuff out of it. But if a person needs a painkiller, what is the point of holding it back? What is the point of denying them a prescription for their painkiller?
Well, they have prescriptions.
But what is the, why would anybody be on the street buying street opiates if they could get legally produced, good, clean opiates? They wouldn't do it. They would go to a drugstore, they would buy their good opiates. They wouldn't take the chance. And why should it be illegal?
Well, I think about this like when we're talking about these other plant medicines or the fungi kingdom, you know, like these amazing kibensis.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And a lot of these are very safe and gentle.
Yeah.
So, you know, for example, like with, you know, urban shaman, they have been helping people live a better quality of life with safe medicines.
Yes.
Discreetly and wonderfully. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because they have like closed. Unfortunately, Health Canada came after them, which fucking sucks.
It's horrible.
Yeah. My heart's just broken. I could go into a million pieces with that one, but
Well,
my heart goes out to you guys. Honestly, Chris, Selena, it's not right. It's not right.
we love you. It's wrong, and we will stand behind you any way you need us to.
Yeah.
Really, like you have run a fabulous, fabulous service for decades, and there's just no words for the depth of frustration and anger that I'm feeling.
I'm so sad for that community. You know, a lot of these people aren't able to have mail order. You know, being able to have something local and available was really helpful. So I know that this new cafe that's going to be opening right away is going to help fill that gap, which I'm grateful for. I'm so grateful.
Well, good, because I'm all geared up to do a big kratom self-discovery journey.
Okay.
Yeah. My MS has taken, as you know, it's been ramping up a little bit, and I've been tap dancing to keep on top of, you know, all of the various needs, and I'm finding the energy drain and the physical discomfort drain. I need to add something to the mix, and kratom has been, after years of research, because, you know, I've been keeping my eyes on options all along, and it's one that I'm feeling very, very positive about, and I can't imagine who I would go to except my trusted friends at the Urban Shaman. Yeah.
I know. Trust me. Do you have some time for some more questions? How are you feeling?
Speaking of the parched.
Okay.
Where are we at time-wise?
Let's take a peek. It's already 9:30.
Oh my God.
We've had fun.
2.5 hours. We could probably say goodbye.
Okay. Well,
sorry to talk your ears off.
I hope you're all enjoying this. I know we are. And it's been so nice to spend time with you and talk with you and connect about all these different things. I mean, every time I see you, I learn so much every single time. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
I've had a wonderful evening. This has been fabulous. And you're all great. You're all absolutely wonderful. I really, you know, I'm so excited to see Selena's stuff grow and expand. And, you know, it feels good to connect with people who can understand how sad we can feel about the Urban Shaman and Chris and what's happening, and people who might help us get the news out there. They get your drugs tested.
Please.
They've got stuff, they're cutting it with shit now that naloxone won't even save your friends, okay? Get your drugs tested.
Please get your drugs tested. And if you want to share some love to the Urban Shaman, consider going for a wonderful retreat weekend at their newer project called the Soma Institute.
It's beautiful. It is amazing there.
Tell us about it.
it's gorgeous. There's all these little freestanding buildings, so you know you've got nice cozy little places to stay. It's got a teepee, it's got a hot tub, it's got the most amazing greenhouses, and they've been growing some beautiful entheogens in there.
Yes.
Just amazing, and they've done a lovely job of natural finishes and all wood, and they've discovered that despite those groundhogs being just adorably cute in the springtime, that they couldn't let them live in the yard after all.
Oh my god. And they got Mac, so their dog Mac, he is a gem.
He's the guard dog on duty.
But he's such a gentle
It's beautiful. It's near Princeton. It's not hard to get to from Vancouver. It's not even shorter than getting to the Okanagan. And it is lovely. Right beside the Kettle Valley walking trail. So you can go for nice long walks and not see anybody else or worry about COVID or anything. Yeah. It's a magical place.
It's so magical. It's so special. So if you guys want to share some love with them, please even just, reach out, tell them that they're amazing, and just thank you for all of your dedication to helping people heal and continuation of that. So being mindful of your time, and also we haven't done the meditation yet. Are you cool to do a quick meditation and then we'll wrap it? If you need to walk around while I do this, that's
totally fine. I need to lay back and enjoy.
Okay. So I want to share, if you want to take a moment and kind of shake off anything that you just need to release, please do that. Move your body a little bit. I know I love a little bit of water before meditation, so I'm going to have a few sips. And if you're joining us in sesh, please, by all means, enjoy your medicine. So whether that's, a joint like what Sarah and I have been enjoying, or enjoying, or, some tincture, some oil, an edible, taking a capsule, even using a topical lotion. I know after this, I'm going to put some topical on my shoulders. I've got some for us so we can enjoy. Just really enjoy the medicine. And while you're working with the medicine, working with cannabis, I invite you to really just take a moment and get present with her. So just, if you have a bud in front of you, just do a little bit of eye gazing into the cannabis, into the bud. Smell her beautiful flower. And just take a moment to really connect. Smell her. If you're looking at a bottle of CBD, that's okay too. However you feel like connecting, please do. But essentially what I do is I hold her in my hands, or I look at her on the stem, or, I'll grind her up and I'll smell. If you've got a drop, if you want to have a little bit on the palate, or if you just want to imbibe the medicine and then just enjoy the flavors and the tastes that are coming up. And just take some time. And I invite you to invite cannabis to take you on a journey and to teach you about the fall time, to teach you about this very special time of year when the harvest is full and she is at her full maturity and she is just enjoying and reveling and being live and at her peak potential. All of her resin glands are they're so swollen and happy and just so full of medicine and the good stuff for the people. She's a very juicy goddess, I'll say that. So as we get settled, I invite you to just sit or lay in a comfortable position. When you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes and take a few deep, conscious breaths. Smelling her flower, delighting in the gifts that she has for you during this harvest time. She's showing you now how to live to the fullest potential, to really reach out and allow this natural evolution of self to unfold in your own perfect cycle, blossoming at her perfect time. We got giggly Sarah here. What do you want to share? You're so funny. Are you laughing at the smoke? Sarah's tripping out in the smoke. What did you see?
Let's meditate. We'll start a fire. We better put this up and actually get down to meditating.
Enjoy medicine, Sarah. Enjoy medicine. I also want to share, you don't have to take a lot of medicine to feel the medicine. That's one of the things I love about her as a flower is like literally you can modulate with just a few smells. Like I'm buzzing. She's just so incredible. Smelling the flowers. She's inviting you to smell her flowers. Imagine yourself in a garden full of cannabis that's beginning to bloom. Maybe you're in my garden. I hope you're in yours, if you have one. Imagine these gorgeous beings beginning to show you that yes, she is going to bloom. Yes, this is her time. Yes, opening and really expressing her fullest self. Here and now, the time is now. As you lean closer, I invite you to notice her beautiful hairs glistening, inviting you in closer. And then being hit in the most loving way with this incredible aroma, this very distinct pungency that attracts and commands your attention. She draws you in. And as you lean in closer and you continue to smell her sweet, distinct aroma, I invite you to pause and just really appreciate all that she has grown to give you now. She humbly does this year after year, cycle after cycle, lifetime after lifetime, gifting forward a better life for you as you help her grow the best life that she can have for her in a garden tended by somebody who loves her, surrounded by her sisters who are also singing now. And as you continue to appreciate her, you do begin to notice that you hear her so softly begin to sing. You hear this almost whisper of a high-pitched tone. Ooh. moving through you, calling to you too, communicating with you, letting you know it's almost time. And in her beautiful wisdom, this divine wisdom of eons and eons of growth, regeneration, you notice that that flower comes at the cost of old leaves beginning to curl and brown, yellowing, dropping off her body effortlessly. A gust of wind, a rustle of the body, movement, moves those old dying leaves to fall naturally on the ground and begin to feed the soil. A promise for a rich and nutritious next cycle, feeding all of these different organisms in and around the plant. You notice as her leaves light up yellow that she's communicating with you. She's letting you know which leaves to drop. She's calling to you again, but to just help free her a little bit, unburden her a little bit, help her move better, help her flow better, help her feel better. Releasing that which has served a wonderful purpose, has brought her and you to this place now in this autumn time. Allowing, in essence, a fruition of a fulfillment of self as we unburden ourselves of those lessons, of those beliefs, of those social constructs, of those ideologies, of those recordings in our head of other people's voices that we misinterpret as our own. As we release all of those things, we release them with the promise that they will bring in fertile soil for the next cycle. And as you see the roots get nourished, and as you see the regeneration happens, she reminds you that this has always been, these cycles have always been, and that you are a part of them. They are a part of you. And together, we journey through this next cycle together. As harvest draws near, her tone gets louder and more distinct, drawing you in until you look at her beautiful flower at its peak potential. And with her permission is the invitation to harvest. She lets you know when it's time, and you let her know that you've heard her call. You hold her leaves. You connect with her. You share with her how grateful you are for this time you've had together, for the medicine that she's gifting you and your community, and for the better quality of life that's to come as you imbibe your body and assimilate her medicines. And as she becomes one with you, merging with yourselves, becoming a part of your physiology, you work together as you navigate the next steps. It is a continuation of a relationship in a new form. As sometimes death and rebirth brings. Consider that a part of this cycle, the death, the darkness, becomes the darkness of the womb and the rebirth and the new life and the new flower. This is the continuation of the cycle. Feel into that for a moment. This eternal rhythmos that we're all a part of, and that we all get to experience together here and now. And how special this time is. The harvest, the preparation for the next, the security, the accessibility, the health, and the well-being. Take a moment to thank Cannabis again for all that she has gifted you. And know that she thanks you too for helping to spread her love all over the world. One joint, one drop of CBD oil, one topical, one suppository at a time, one trichome at a time. And not only does she bring medicine, but she brings joy as medicine. So the laughter, the tripping out in the smoke, all of those things. She reminds us that even in some of the darkest times, there was always that flicker, that flame of light, and it resides in your heart. It is the kindness and the compassion within you. And it's the community that you're a part of, outside of you, that you help co-create with your presence. And our beautiful friend Cannabis is like the mycelial network, bridging worlds, bridging people, bridging lifetimes. She is our friend. And I know we're all so grateful. So I invite you to take a few more deep and conscious breaths and really feel into this moment. Feel Cannabis breathing with you. When you're ready, I invite you all to enjoy and come back into this space. I always like to go towards green things, so I'm looking at my beautiful green plants. And I just have to say, like, this is such an abundance time, you know? And I just feel so grateful for all the abundance that Cannabis brings to us always. So, thank you.
Well, next time I'll try not to disrupt the meditation by building the autumn bonfire.
It was very appropriate. I want to say it was actually perfect. So we had our little Yule fire, we had a mini Yule log, and here we go.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. So I know that some of you did have more questions. So what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to make a list. And would you join us for another episode sometime soon?
Yep.
So I will ask Sarah those questions, and I'll be more conscientious of focusing on the questions as they're coming in. But this conversation has just been wild. It's been all over the place.
Oh, we've been everywhere.
And it's what we do.
It's fun. No roadmap. We're Geminis.
I know. I'm on the Taurian cusp. I'll ride that one. But yes,
Yeah.
I know you're full Gemini. I love it.
Well, I'm 28, so yeah, I'm kind of in
You're cuspy too.
I'm in the third decan.
Yeah, you're cuspy. Okay.
Yeah.
Geminis can talk. But there's so many interesting things to talk about. So I wanted to just give a quick shout out to everyone who's still with us. And thank you so much for joining us and talking with us and being on this journey and learning.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's been so much fun. So Susie Sherlock, again, thank you so much for being here. Blackjack 713, thank you for coming. Thank you for the trees and for the autumn. I also want to say thank you to Canna Baker for joining us. Just thank you so much. Canna Mama, I'm high-fiving you. Blessings, and thank you so much. I'm so grateful. You know, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Rare 710, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. And thank you for the love. Like, love's right back to you. Like, honestly, it's my delight to have you here and to share what you know with everybody. So thank you.
Oh, well, I enjoyed it too. It's been a great time.
So good. So thanks for joining us, JC. Yeah, you do need to get some of this bud. This is some good stuff. So if you're looking for genetics, hit up Sarah Bradshaw on Facebook, Wise Women Seeds. And then, we'll hook you up.
It's a constant changing, supply. Like,
That's how it is.
it's just how it is. But yeah, get in touch and we'll see what we can do.
Here we go. Oh, legalized. Thank you too. Kathy Yellow Warrior. Thank you for joining us. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the talk. That's so good. Hashberg, thank you. It's also a great show because you joined us, so thanks for being here. Shanzo, I hope I'm saying that right. She is a wise woman. Hell yeah, she is, for sure. Yes, you are. Thank you. I'm just taking a look. Cyclic vibrations. Oh, you can find the table if you hit up Sarah Bradshaw on Facebook at Wise Women Seeds. If you just send her a quick message, you can get that.
Oh, that planting guide and that? We send it out free if you order seeds. We send the planting guide free out if you order seeds. It's also in the calendar.
Oh, this planting guide. So this comes free if you order seeds. So
and if you want a laminated one, it's $5.
What did you call this? Your lexicon?
Oh, my Magnus Opus.
Her Magnus Opus.
My great work. It actually did take 3 years and 7 different resources to produce this, okay?
Thank you for everybody here, and thank you so much.
I made so many versions before I got to the episode.
I've seen the versions. Yes, she has. White Feather Grow, I want to say cheers to you too. And Diego P, yeah, that is a freaking sweet chart. So that has helped me, and I'm such a geek. I'm so excited to start planning the next season because it tells me how many plants I need, how far to space them, and then because I know my square foot of my garden now, I literally just square foot garden the whole thing. Yeah,
and so if you're gonna just buy one book to learn gardening or to use around gardening, I'd suggest either Square Foot Gardening or by Mel Bartholomew, or How to Grow More Vegetables by John Jeevons. Okay, they'll really get you going. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll buy more.
Yes, you will, and you'll trade them and you'll give them away. There was a book that you had years ago at our dispensary. It was a pest control book.
Oh, no, that's a $250 reference book.
It was
And
amazing.
It's, yeah, it's about
It was amazing.
Pest control, natural pest and biological control of diseases of hemp and cannabis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one, and the medical and indoor-outdoor grower's guide by George Cervantes or Jorge Cervantes. Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
That one's my Bible for real. It's called the Medical Grower's Bible. That one's awesome too.
Or
oh, there it is. That's the one.
Marijuana Horticulture.
I literally have it so I can just like lounge read.
Marijuana Horticulture by Jorge Cervantes.
Such a good book.
You can get old copies that for next to nothing. Like, it's like a field guide. He updates it frequently, which means he adds new stuff, but it doesn't mean anything in the old shit's wrong.
Well, I was having fun reading more about bubble hash, and I'm really excited because I personally have never made bubble hash. I've purchased it, I've been gifted it, but I've never made it.
Well,
do you want to teach me how to make it?
Ben is a wizard at it. He makes,
wonderful.
Yeah, he's got all the equipment and everything.
Well, and I'm getting my bubble bag, so I'm really excited about that.
What size are you getting?
I'm getting the 8 kit from.
No, but what size bag?
I'm getting 8 different. Oh, the size bag.
Yeah.
I was gonna get it like just like in like a 5 or 7 gal.
The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, don't get the little ones.
Oh God, no.
Get at least like the size you're talking to or bigger.
Okay. I was just thinking for like discreet, easy.
Well, at the bazaar we had the garbage can sized ones.
I love that. And then you get the rollies on the bottom. It's so much easier to transport.
Well, and it actually, a little bubble hash kit, like, you don't get much. Like, you're using like shake and all sorts of stuff, and the actually.
But I want to take my flower buds and I want to process them and I want to see what I get.
Yeah. So you need a lot of ice cubes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Continual supply.
Yeah. Oh, have you got an ice cube maker?
I do. In my fridge, but I was also Marcus had this video from a few years ago that I stumbled upon, and he was using snow.
Yeah,
I was like, that's cool. So maybe in the dead of winter.
Yeah,
that like a February project.
We used icicles.
Perfect. What are you gonna do?
There's lots of them, It's like they're there. They were freezing ice. Wait a minute.
Thank you, nature, for providing everything I need. Totally. So
yeah,
amazing books. And then, sorry, there's Diggity Dank. I wanted to say hey to you. Thank you so much for joining us. There was a couple of names that I missed, and I just wanted to make sure I got everybody. And David Hall. And yeah, you're so right. Marcus is the wizard of bubble hash making. So I've been going back through his old videos, and I've been having a blast.
Yeah.
There's so much knowledge there.
I'm sure that it was probably his old videos that Ben and Ben got going on
110%.
way back when.
I'm sure. I guarantee it.
Like they went through many iterations before they, got it down pat. But yeah, we're never without decent bubble hash.
So I'm excited to get on that train. And I mean, you guys have seen all of my gorgeous girls in the backyard. So I'm going to have half of it that I'm going to keep as flour, and then the other half I'm going to process.
Yeah.
And see what I get.
Another thing that's really good about bubble hash is, you clone a mom and you clone her and clone her and clone her, but then when you go to grow her out, you're not going to get good bud production.
Yeah. But
grow her out anyway in bubble hash, because you get lots of bud, but it's just all monkey puzzle. It's so hard to trim.
Right.
It's there,
so
and
it's
just, but oh my goodness, we have gotten wicked bubble hash from the mums that we, okay, well, let's just grow her out, stick her in the corner of the room on the next show and let her go. And makes wonderful bubble hash.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate the pro tip. I'm like, awesome. Nice. Oh, John, I'm glad you're here with us. You too, Susie. And yeah, the icicles thing, that's hilarious. You gotta improvise. It's all good. So yeah, Amazing, amazing. I mean, I feel like we could talk for a long time. We have. And I want to thank all of you again for joining us. And I also want to say a very special thank you to Marcus for inviting us to do this on Bubble Band's World.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcus.
So grateful. So my request is next time, if we can put some questions in there, I'm going to be more mindful, and we'll get them answered for you. And if in the meantime you want to hit us up, they can find you on Facebook at Wise Women Seeds.
Yep.
They can find, you guys can find me at floweroflifecannabis.com. I've got all my hashtags and stuff in the link below the video on YouTube. So if you're watching it there, that's where it is. But essentially on Instagram, I'm Selena Sativa. So if you want to message me, I'd love to chat with you. There is somebody that messaged me and it got lost in the shuffle, so I apologize. So I'm going to go through it again and see if I can find you. But if that's you and I haven't responded, I'm so sorry. I did get your message and it was so beautiful. Thank you. Please write me back, because I'm new to doing social, to be real, like in a good way. So bless your hearts and thank you for working with me on that. But you can also find us at Flower of Life Show, Flower of Life TV, FOL Health, FOL Events. Flower of Life is my baby. And if you haven't noticed already, and we do a lot of different things in the community. So if you're wanting to learn how to grow your own medicine, obviously we've got workshops and things that we're going to be putting out into the community. If you want to learn how to make your own medicine, Siobhan, who I mentioned earlier from Blissful Alchemy, she comes in a couple times a year now, and we're going to be doing soon, very soon, probably in the next month, a harvest workshop available online, and up to 4 people because we're 6 for the next workshop, but in person. But you're welcome to join us. We're going to be learning how to do the basics, so how to decarb, how to make topicals, how to make infused oils, and then how to turn those things into other creative products that just kind of give you the base for making everything.
I have seldom enjoyed a workshop as much as I enjoyed Siobhan's.
I learned so much.
And so did I, which, you know, like, it is awesome, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been cooking with cannabis for a long time. But some of the pro tips she showed, some of the nice little time and money saving hacks, her presentation, her products, I can't say enough good things about Blissful Alchemy and what can happen there. So,
we love,
you know, if you can't attend in person, sign up and watch, because goodness, she's worth every nickel you'll give her.
Oh, plus.
Absolutely.
She has a heart of gold. So consider joining us for that. And then the other thing that Flower of Life does now is we are a cannabis clinic. So if you want to work with a doctor, Dr. Fair is our doctor. He's amazing. This is my big, I'm so excited news, is we're able to now bill through MSP. So for people that are looking to use cannabis as medicine through the Health Canada licensed producer program, the ACMPR, the Access to Cannabis for Medical Purposes regulations, you can see Dr. Fair. All you have to do is just go to floweroflifeclinic.ca. It's also floweroflifecannabis.com, and just click book now and book yourself in with Dr. Fair as a new patient, and we're good to go.
No more fees.
No more fees if you're looking for personal use. If you want to personally produce, that's a different ballgame, but it's still super reasonable. So consider checking us out. And that's what has allowed me to grow. I mean, realistically, it's probably over 30 plants in the backyard now. I kind of just brought more.
They're big.
They're big, and they're kind of,
They're big. I'm not sure there's more than 30. They're big.
Okay, so we did plan for 30, so there's for sure 30 with a couple in a couple of pots. But we are going, there's so many cool things. So anyways, the reason I'm able to legally do that is because I have a license. So if you want a license, essentially just go to our clinic, because it's available if you want it. Otherwise, I really want you guys to consider planning out, or at least getting excited about the potential of thinking about your garden for next year. What seeds are you saving now, and where in your garden do you want to put things? That's also a really important thing, and we'll get into that another day.
Oh, yeah.
But save your seeds, share your seeds, make amazing sauces and soups. If you're wanting to preserve, we learned all about that, so go for it. I know I'm going to, and I'll be sending you all love for my garden. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Sarah, do you have any parting words for us?
Good night.